Good morning, all the members of the editorial board. I welcome you to the 2025 INASL annual meeting, editorial board meeting. And I'm really glad our emeritus editor, Professor Dhiman, is also here. And I welcome you for this meeting. Can I have the presentation shown on the screen? So this presentation has been prepared by our journal the publisher, Dr. Priyanka Kardam, and she has not been able to come because she's proceeded on maternity leave, and she has been managing our affairs after that. What was his name? Other person had left. Journal manager Saranya is online, and she's also attending. This is your journal, and I stand here possibly for the last time on behalf of your journal to assure you that JCAH is doing well and is one of the highest impact factor journals from India. And impact factor this year was 3.2, and site score was 5.1, which is up from the previous year's site score. Uh, this journal statistics have been given to me by our publisher, Priyanka, and this shows the pattern of submission, editorial outcomes, and publish it counts. And you can see that 2025 figures are till June, that is only 6 months figures are there. And the number of submissions have been increasing. And this year we have been getting 60 plus articles every month. So the yearly count is going to be somewhere around 6 to 700, 700 plus. Rejection rates, you can see the two parts of rejection rates are there in that. The desk rejection rate, which belongs to what I do, has been increasing slightly, but the rejection rate by the editors when it is reviewed has remained constant in last 5 years. It has not changed. And we need to change this because the number of submissions have increased, and if we accept more articles, we are going to have bigger and bigger journal, and denominator will increase, and the impact factor will not increase much. And that is what has happened this time. Our citations have definitely gone up, but denominator has also gone up, and that is why the impact factor has not increased. This is published articles by access type. We generally have subscription articles for which the author pays nothing. Majority of the articles that we publish are subscription articles. Some people who are able to pay through their projects in which the research was done, they pay for the APC, which is about $3,000, and then it becomes free to public. That article becomes free to public. In addition to that, we also have a hybrid open access. That means some articles we feel are very important, and I request the publisher to make them free, and subsequently they are made free.
Sir, how many of the requests can you make?
About one per issue. So that is what has been happening. About
That
six.
that you do for maybe consensus articles or something.
Yes, consensus articles. Sometimes guidelines which are published. These are submitted articles by continent, and you can see most of the articles that we are getting are from Asia, and this has been the pattern throughout. Uh, Articles from North and Central America have been increasing, especially from South America. And Europe also, the articles have been increasing gradually. From Africa, the articles have remained more or less the same. There has been one article from Oceania which appears again and again in the issue, but otherwise, uh, articles generally are coming from Asia itself. Welcome. Please join in. Sorry? They have five mails. One came from Shefali, which was 12:30. I sent all the mails at 12 o'clock. So this is the trend in the top 10 or regions by submission, that is submission date. And you can see that most of the articles are from India, followed by China, United States, Egypt, Iran, Brazil, Pakistan, Turkey, Spain, and United Kingdom. This is the pattern of submission, which is more or less has been consistent throughout. From Turkey, the articles have been increasing gradually, and all other countries, the overall pattern has remained the same. This is how we accept the articles. Generally, you realize that maximum articles which are accepted are from Asia, followed by South and Central America and Europe. And some articles are also accepted from South America and Africa. There's one article which has been accepted from Oceania. This is the trend in the top 10 countries and region by accepted articles. India remains the maximum, United States number 2, Egypt number 3, China, lately the articles input also has been increasing and acceptance has also been increasing. And Brazil also the acceptance is slightly increasing. United Kingdom more or less same. Pakistan, we have not accepted any article this year. Thailand, Italy, and Germany, we are getting small number of articles.
So can I ask you? So sometimes when someone,
You can switch it on.
yeah, so sometimes when some author has submitted a article to a very high impact journal, for example gastroenterology, and it has been rejected, then the author gets an option that you can transfer to others. So are we doing this, and for especially for a big.
Yes, we have arrangements with the Lancet Gastroenterology and Hepatology. If the articles are rejected there, they are transferred to us. And we also have arrangement with some other journals down below. If we reject it, they are transferred there. This is Elsevier's system, and Elsevier tries to do it within their own journals. Very, very, very minimal. Very minimal. Mhm. Recently, a trend has been seen that people tend to submit articles simultaneously in more than one journal. Fortunately, Elsevier can detect that as long as it is within the Elsevier journals. But we don't get to know about it if it is a Willis or some other publisher which is there. And we come to know very late. And similarly, the art trend is also increasing for people to asking for withdrawal of the articles. We take the article in, send it through our system, goes to editor invites the reviewers, and then the author says, I want to retract the article because I've left something out in this article. So we can't really refuse it to them, but we allow it. And I have been having discussions with the World Association of Editors, Medical Editors, WMA, and this is the trend they are seeing in almost every journal now. And this is possibly related to people simultaneously sending articles for publication to more than one journal.
So if we increase the transfer rate that Elsevier can do, then we'll possibly get more articles from United States or where they've, I mean, from other countries.
See,
So
what happens is the option is given to the author.
is that option being given or
Ha
not?
ha,
That
option is being
that,
option is
for
being given.
example, submission to
Lancet,
hepatology, hepatology, journal
hepatology,
of hepatology,
they are different
gastroenterology.
publishers.
So we
So
need
they,
to, I mean, check whatever Elsevier publications are there. At
uh,
least those journals should be targeted
uh,
much more
so I
vigorously.
told you we have an arrangement with Lancet Gastroenterology and
That is only
Hepatology.
one.
One only.
So is there a way to penalize authors who have submitted simultaneously to multiple journals? Like we can bar them from.
I have now asked them to flag those articles. Whenever the submission comes from one such article, a red flag will appear, and they will say that this person has asked for withdrawal earlier, or this person has submitted simultaneously earlier.
So just a point, I think that's more in NCT's domain. The transfer to
You can
JCH,
give the mic to him.
see the transfer to JCH instead of I think a journal like LGH transferring because automatically an author who is submitting to LGH would next not his next journal in line will not be JCH. So I think since our impact factor is around about 3.2, we should be looking at journals who are at 4, 5, 6, 7. So they get rejected from that 4, 5, 6, 7 journals. Then the probability of them coming directly to us would be more because they would be looking, okay, it's got rejected at 6. What's the next I can go to? From LGH to come to JCH would be very unlikely.
If an article has been rejected by a journal with the impact factor 6,
6.
will also be rejected by us.
No, but at least it should come.
That is absolutely true. I think you have to have a little bit with a higher impact factor than ours.
See, what is happening is we are looking for really good articles. And generally, the articles which are published in, say, Impact Factor 6 journal are roughly similar to the articles we are getting. We have a disadvantage that we had a backlog of a lot of case reports accepted earlier, and they have gone into our denominator, as a result of which our impact factor has actually come down a bit, zero point 0.01 point this year. But overall, it is more or less similar. But if
S-
we stop publishing case reports, possibly it will go up.
Yeah, in fact, I was wanting to tell you that we should not accept any case report unless until it is giving you some new pathophysiology, new form of the treatment, or something which has then an impact. Only then,
That is true.
as the hepatology as well as the gastroenterology is doing, I think we have to improve our standard now. Since you are getting 60 articles per month,
Definitely.
I think it is good enough actually.
Generally, we published about 20 to 25 articles every month. And if you are getting about 60 plus, that means that we should be rejecting about 75%, which we have not achieved so far. Second,
I'll give you the figures for the Hepatology International. They are hardly accepting 10 and 15% of the articles actually. And
they,
I don't know whether we are discussing how to improve the impact factor now
we
or
will
the later
we will have a discussion in the end, which is
in
open
the end.
discussion.
So
The second point is the speed of publication or speed of acceptance. This is the median editorial and publication speed for the published articles. These are the articles which are published. And you will notice that median submission to issue time has been progressively coming down. We have been improving on it slightly.
what is now?
It's 221 days. I'll give you the more details a little
Green
later.
bar has significantly come down. That is median submission to publication.
Uh,
That has significantly come
I
down.
can't read here.
Yeah, since we started doing the that issuing progress thing.
Correct. And similarly, even the pink bar is coming down. It is showing definitely a trend towards downward. So generally, speed wise, we are doing okay.
What's issue realization? What is exactly that?
That article has been included in an issue.
So
We,
3 and 4, green and red, how are the difference? Sir?
sorry?
3 and green and
Green would be published online immediately,
online. Okay.
and then
And
it comes to issue a bit later.
Right.
so what happens is initially the article, before it is proofread, is placed online.
So one.
This is a very important point, sir. I thought I'll ask you. We get this article is accepted, and there's a proof thing which comes. Is the author permitted to share that online to various online sites? Say that
Yes,
my author are published, but it says that it's not the final article. It still says that.
yes, that is true. It is not formatted as per the journal's shape, and it is a PDF of the article
So
which is
pre-proof
submitted by
can
the
be
article, which
can
has
be
been
pub-
accepted.
right.
Most of the good journals are doing that one
We are also
actually.
doing that.
Yeah, the hardly it takes 2 months or the 3 months, and it is accepted. It's online actually.
Earlier, we were publishing articles almost 6 months to 9 months after acceptance. But then we switched to article by number rather than by the issue.
Yeah.
So what happens is the minute it is accepted, it is allotted an article number and it is placed in the next available issue. This is the median editorial speed for accepted and rejected articles. And you can see that median submission to first desk rejection time has come down to 2 days now. And the median submission to the first standard decision has also come down to about 26 days. And final, it is 42 days for the final decision. This is something about which everybody has been asking, the citation impact. And these are the top cited articles published all times on Scopus. So you can see that majority of the articles are review articles that are getting maximum citations. And very few, some of the articles which are original articles are also actually systematic reviews and they are getting maximum citations. So there is a Amit Goel's article, there is Dr. Sanjeev Sehgal's article, uh, Dr.
Right.
Subrat Acharya's article.
Sir, one I would like to ask for a small question. The special issues which you make, sir, like I did too with you, sir, we were very hard. So do those articles also come into this consideration?
Those are all considered as review articles. I started this special issue so that we get more review articles
Right.
which can get more
So if I've got 10 articles in a special issue I make on immunosuppression,
all 10 are
they get
first
the
published
same.
as a review
So
article.
they are given the same credit as the.
Uh,
That's a very good encouragement, sir. I
uh,
think that's a very good point, sir.
Definitely. Then these are the top cited articles in 2024, that is last year. The earlier was the all-time articles. You can just have a look. I'll keep it for a minute or so. Here again, most of them are review articles, and the original articles are also systematic reviews which are getting maximum citations.
Oh, okay, I saw that. Thank you.
That is from the issue, special issue only.
Yeah, that's from special issue. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Thank you.
Then we invited Patrick Kamath also to write about MELD, and he has written that article. That is also. These are the top cited articles in 2023, that is previous issue. And there again you find that all of them are review articles. There is no article, no case report which gets any citation ever. They just add to denominator. These are citations, and next thing is usage. Usage means how many articles are being downloaded by various people. So these are the articles which are downloaded. Here again, there are many full length articles or the original articles.
So here there would be a difference between whether they are free or whether they are paid.
Free articles are downloaded much more commonly, and obviously, if somebody pays that money, that advantage he'll have. But this is what generally we make them free also in some occasional case. These are top Science Direct download articles in 2024.
Yeah, I can note that basics and art of immunosuppression is it a part of that supplement which we made, sir? So
Yes.
that is a good point.
This is 2025 downloaded articles. Dr. Sanjeev Saigal is on the top.
I'm glad I came here.
This is Earlier was the Scopus and now it is Science Direct. These are the two different platforms where the downloading takes place and it is counted. Guidelines also sometimes get very good citations and downloads. This is top articles by social media account. This also these days is becoming very important to make an article very popular. Uh,
Majority of the good journals, they take the help of the social media.
yes, we have.
Any of my article in a good journal is accepted, they always say, they encourage that take use of the all social media. वो बहुत important है sir.
This is something in which we have lagged behind. Although 2-3 years back I appointed 4 social media editors, but they have not been very effective. Then subsequently now I have given it to our executive editor, Dr. Akash Roy. He will be taking over this part.
If there is nothing wrong, when you accept a article of any author, then you can guide him about the social media, because everybody is having their social account, social media account nowadays. So it is better somebody can
Generally, all these articles in hepatology and clinical hepatology, when your article is accepted, they ask you to give a video interview about that article.
yes, yes.
That is also placed on social media. And similarly, Twitter, a small snippet is placed about that in that Twitter also.
That gives you the citation very fast, memorizing very fast.
This is something we have to work on. I have not been able to.
I think these are the things that we have to work. Now, but the question of getting article is no more now. And the only thing is that you have to reduce the assessment time actually, so that you can deliver as early as possible. And then you have to look what kind of the articles you want. For me, I think it is meta-analysis, systematic reviews.
We are encouraging that.
50% of the articles should belong to it, and we should not have any case report. Case report the citation.
We have tried to stop it, but then
I have written it in the author's, if you see the author's guideline, only those case reports will be accepted.
Correct. That is still carrying on.
Sir, you guided me once to change the case report submission to research letter. When I spoke to you,
research letters are
does
not
it have
counted.
does it have any meaning or like?
Yes, research letter is not counted in the denominator, while case report is counted as a full article.
And secondly, how strong is the social media cell of JCH?
I won't be able to give you the details of that because
It will depend on the number of tweets or number of
how many people have read that, how many people have liked that, all those things are counted.
If we tweet at least 3 times a day, then it will go higher. If it is tweeted only once a week, then.
Sir, can we also include like in other journals the authors have to give a tweet if the article is accepted? So in JCH also can we incorporate that? So instead of the editor thinking and then deciding what to write,
We can,
the
definitely we can. I think that's a good point.
authors give and then we just check factually it is correct to tweet or not.
I
and
hope Akash is listening, because all this you will have to implement, because I may be moving out very soon.
Sanjay will also ask for your Twitter ID or so that on their official Twitter account they post that article and tag the person, the authors.
Very
and
true.
Authors can revisit and then they retweet to their account.
I think that is important.
They propagate their article.
Okay. So
Sir,
this is
like we are doing, sir, me. So can we make a, like he's making most of the time he's making the Twitter post, and then can we make a WhatsApp group for sharing all the by all the editorials?
Why not?
So that
Definitely.
could also
There is a WhatsApp group. I don't know whether you are in it or not.
I'm not there.
I'll put you there. It's my shortcoming that
So
I'm actually not very good with social media. Let me be very
so
frank.
once we make the post, we can
Hmm.
just put it in the group. Just you share.
Uh-huh.
So it can be easily shared by
But
just one
what is
click.
happening is half of our editors are not on WhatsApp.
Okay.
Many of them, that's why that WhatsApp account is not used much. Today also I sent the link of Zoom by WhatsApp only, and also by the mail. So mail is something which everybody attends, but I'll make sure that all the uh, people who have joined last year are not probably put in there yet.
Yes, sir.
This is our comparison with some of the other journals of Q2. Generally, the journals are classified as Q1, Q2, Q3, and Q4. That is quartile 1, quartile 2, quartile 3, quartile 4. There are 84 journals which are uh, looking after gastroenterology and hepatology, and we are right now 32, ranked at 32.
We can improve on it.
We can definitely improve on it. And uh, Annals of Hepatology is doing much better than us. But all other journals, I think we can gradually take over. World Journal of Hepatology is we are much better than that. And similarly, Clinical Liver Disease, which is a companion journal with the hepatology, is we are doing better than that. And Clinics in Liver Disease is another journal which is doing better than us.
So many of these journals, they want a publishing charge when you send a paper to them. Many of them.
We also
Uh,
do.
so if somebody's, no, we when we present a paper, we don't charge.
Just before you came, we discussed this point.
Sorry, sir. Sorry.
We have two, three ways of publishing an article. Uh, One is a subscription article for which author pays nothing. And this will only be available to people who have subscribed to the journal. The other is an article in which author pays an APC, article publication charges, in which the article becomes free to public. So even if people who have not subscribed to journal can download it. So those things are there. We have 3,500, I think, dollars for per article is there. For anyone who has got a research project and is publishing article from research project, this charge can be given to the can be funded by the research project. So this is the Scopus site score of all the journals who are around us in Q2. This is decided by the publisher, not by us.
But try to convince them if they can have the lesser charges actually.
They have given us concession of one article per issue. They will publish free.
Free. I think that is okay.
Even that can be, we can negotiate to make it 2 articles per.
Actually, this can be done. This is one or two. If you have really good article, I have not been using this facility for an individual author because it appears partisan at times. If I use it for one author, the other authors will say, on what parameters have you decided on this article? So I've been generally using it for the guidelines, for the society consensus statements which are issued. For that, we are using it.
It can also be done for special issues.
By the time special issue is published, it's already gone on freeze free. More than 6 months old articles are only generally available free.
Sir, one more thing I can see actually. Trend. If you see to the annals of the hepatology, trend is upward trend. And if you see to the World Journal of the Hepatology, you can see the upward trends also.
Correct.
In our, it is almost the same, or maybe a 1 or 0.1 or
Very
0.2
true.
less. I think we should be very cautious about it actually.
This is mainly because we are publishing large number of papers.
I think we should reduce the number as well as no case reports also.
No, actually, I've written lots of letters to our editors to be a little more strict with
No, you are
accepting
the final
articles.
authority, sir.
But if
I used that authority also many times.
no, the thing is, if I have to reject an article, I reject right in the beginning.
No, sir, you can reject afterwards also.
But
If you don't like it, you reject
if
it
an
actually.
editor has consulted, say, 3, 4 reviewers, and he said that accept that article, then I send it to a science editor.
I don't know. Many of the reviewers, they don't review the article in a proper way.
But 2 editors see now an article to accept it. Now, not one editor. Now there are 2 editors who accept one article.
The another thing is that you can do a monthly meeting online with the editors as other journals they are doing, particularly the American College of Gastroenterology or the American Journal of the Gastroenterology.
So
This
what you
Jasmohan
said,
Bajaj was the associate editor. Then he told me that almost 1 week, then they have a meeting about the acceptance of the article. Then they have to say why they are
very
accepting.
excellent idea.
Yeah.
But when we have a meeting once a year, you can see how much is the attendance. So even if I order a meeting once a month and people don't attend, there is no point in continuing with
Another
that.
thing that I wanted to say, if you do not remove the editors, then this is going to happen actually, man. 2011 we started the journal, and since then now 15 years have been passed, and few editors are in the same place also, and they are not doing the good job also. I think it is better now. हाँ? एडिटर्स की बात कर रहा हूँ मैं.
Editors.
हाँ, रिव्यूअर्स की बात नहीं कर रहा हूँ मैं, एडिटर्स की बात कर रहा हूँ जो तब से थे अभी तक चले आ रहे हैं. देन यू हैव टू सी एक्चुअली में दे विल नेवर अटेंड योर ये मीटिंग्स वगैरह. एंड तो बेटर है कि यू शुड चूज नाउ द यंग एडिटर्स आल्सो, enthusiastic editors
you've
also,
got young set of
and
editors.
you there are reasons to start this kind of a meeting monthly, that you can say that you are not attending, you are not contributing, so therefore we are changing. Let the new persons come now.
Uh,
Many of
I have debated on this quite a bit, sir. I agree that what you are saying is probably ideal way to function in a corporate world.
only that the journal will progress.
No, I'll tell you why I have not done it so far. There are 3, 4 foreign editors I removed. One was David Mutiver, there was Jimson, and similarly there was one more. I removed them because they would take long time to reply and they would not answer. So I removed them. Even Dasrathi, which I had included, I had to remove him because he was not replying on time. But all other editors are actually doing their job, although they are taking little more time. And another problem is that the cumulative site score or cumulative impact of the editor's H index is also taken into account while giving the impact factor. If I take all young editors with very low H index, it will drop drastically. And therefore, I have resisted from, I am not giving, for example, Paolo Angeli has been with us, but he was editor-in-chief of Journal of Hepatology. During that time, he was not replying to our mails, but I have not removed him because his presence is adding a little bit of weight to our editorial board.
In fact, that is the reason I have included him.
So I have not removed him.
And he was my good friend also, so he was very happy to join the journal also.
So for that reason, I'm not removing many of the people, although I'm giving them less and less articles. Most of the articles are going to younger editors.
Sir?
So out of all the articles which you send to science editors, how many of them have been rejected by science editors and were accepted by original editors?
They were only 1 or 2%.
So same thing I also wanted to ask, because once it has been sent to a science editor, so are we allowed to reject, because they have been
You are
accepted
allowed
by
to
the
reject.
handling editor?
No,
and
if you give me
reviewers?
a reason to reject, I reject. I have done it. I told you about 2-3% only are being rejected like this, but I am very carefully reading what you are writing. Most of the science editors are also now into the rut, and they say that okay, checklist, okay, okay, I've seen, everything is fine, and therefore I'm not able to reject any article where I feel that possibly this may not be accepted.
No, so if this is not working properly, then I think it is just increasing the burden on science editors, because if
I, I'm not
they are just
I'm not giving
saying
any
yes.
science editor more than 2 to 3 articles at a time.
Maybe we
No,
can
nobody
communicate
gets.
again that science editors can reject, because we are of the opinion that once it has been accepted by the handling editor, we
No,
just
no,
have
no,
to
no, 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 no.
see that the article is in line with the journal's policy.
No,
And
I definitely return those articles because I have been totally dispassionate about rejecting articles. Wherever I get a chance, I have been rejecting. And you'll see that my rejection rate has gone every year it is going up. But the other rejection rates have been more or less constant. So this is the Scopus site score and this is the Clarivate impact factor. And we are more or less maintaining. Annals of Hepatology has gone up slightly. Clinics in liver disease is coming down. And World Journal of Hepatology is also more or less same. These are journal citations and publication by Clarivate. Clarivate is the one which runs the impact factor organization. And this gives a comparison with the other journals. And it shows that Journal of Clinical and Experimental Hepatology are actually citations are increasing. But what has gone wrong is our denominators have also increased. Then INASL had permitted me to institute some awards, and this is the result of that award, which will be probably distributed today evening. The Best Original Article Award carries a cash prize of 50,000, and Best Review Article carries a cash prize of 30,000 articles. And I had also instituted some cash award for the best reviewers and best editors, but it was shot down by the governing council. They said giving money is not good for this because editors should be doing this pro bono.
I think in the award, in addition to the rupees, should also be mentioned in terms of the dollars also,
Okay.
because you can attract only the foreign
We are moving
authors.
away from dollars now.
one
It is going to remain there.
So one more suggestion, like recently I got a mail from ACG Case Reports regarding a review which I did. So they also feature the good reviewer profile on their website. So can we also start doing something like that, like best reviewers? We can showcase them on the JCH website.
Okay.
Like every month they have a best
The
reviewer.
problem with that is that best reviewer will get now too many inputs, too many articles to review. So I'm not really doing that. But what I'm doing is I've suggested to Usha that we should have a presentation today on how to write a structured review. So Dr. Rakesh Agrawal has been given that point. And we are now shifting on to the structured review. Every review should be structured in certain fashion so that almost all aspects of the article are commented on. That will come. So this is the best paper award, and these are the criteria for that was 2024 citations for article published in 2022, 23 and 22 and 23. That is what determines our impact factor majorly. So we have taken the same criteria, and these are the articles which are shown as the full length article, review article, both are given there, and it gives you an idea that what kind of articles are getting citations which are taken in for the impact factor. So I've taken the first two articles for the award. So the best article was by Amit Goyal. It is a meta-analysis, original article. And the review article was by Shalimar. This is the current understanding of bile acids and chronic liver disease. Best reviewer awards, I asked for nominations from all the editors. And then I listed them and gave it to our journal publisher and asked them to give me some statistics as to how many articles they have reviewed and how many days they have taken to review it. And this was the result. This was the nominations that I received. Muhammad Khola, Ben Malikhal, Sagnik, Sunil Dadichi, Mansa Allah, A.V. Shiva Prasad, Dr. Akbar, Vivek Saraswat, Dharmesh Kapoor, Sukriti Baveja, Savneet Kaur, Babulal Meena, Piyush Ranjan, Jayanti Venkatraman, and Divyalochan. And these were their statistics. Dr. Akbar received 70 invitations, and average time to review was 4 days. And he did not decline even a single review. So he was obviously selected. Sunil Dadich has taken 44 articles for review. He has declined 4, but average time to review was 9 days. Babulal Meena has taken 25. 1 he declined. Average time to review was 9 days. Dr. Mansa Allah, she is in AIG. 19 articles she reviewed. Average time taken was 12 days. And Sagnik Biswas has taken 18 articles. No decline, and 7 days he has taken to review. So these 5 people I have selected for. These are the top 5 in the whole list of nominations. Best Science Editor Award. Actually, lots of more people are given awards than what is being announced today. Madhumita and Anand Kulkarni have been elevated to associate editors, so they got their award like this. Similarly, Akash Roy is now executive editor, so he also is awarded in a way. Rohit Kumar is also a deputy editor, so he is also awarded in a way. So next 3 people were Amit Goyal, Rohit Mehtani, and Dr. Pritam Nath, so they have been selected for the award. So they will be getting their awards this evening. Last is the point about executive editors. This is a new thing that I had started, and aim for that was to share responsibilities with EIC, and I sought volunteers. And I was hoping that at least 4 people will volunteer and 4 executive editors can function alongside EIC. But most people were hesitant to take on the responsibility. And only 2 people have applied, and both were selected, Dr. Pankaj Puri and Dr. Akash Roy. Many excellent editors have not volunteered, and I wish they should have. And my tenure as EIC ends in December, and I'm extremely hopeful the journal will do better under younger management. As a new team will take over, I wish next EIC the very best and hope the impact factor of the journal soars high. And I have suggested that among the executive editors, they can pick up one editor-in-chief. So this will be probably discussed tomorrow in the governing council meeting, and then they will announce who is going to be the next editor-in-chief. So this is all that I have to say. Suggestions are welcome, and
Can't you continue for another 5 years? I continued for 10 years. I think you should read that report.
I can continue, but I have certain other commitments at home for which I need time, and that is why I'm backing out.
Should be there in the background, like as an advisor, to be helping this, hand holding for the at least first 2 years to the.
I think you should be having an hand holding role also now.
Yeah, exactly. Because transition is great, sir. And Pankaj,
So they can put me also under you as emeritus editor. So they can always consult me. There's no problem. I'll be always available. But what has happened is every year you're getting 60 articles, of which almost 30 I'm rejecting. And to read all the articles has become very tedious. Uh, Earlier the number was a little smaller, so I was managing to do it. But now I'm finding it, I'm not able to do justice to that work.
Some work should be done for identifying more reviewers. So
We have expanded
maybe
the editorial board, we have
yeah,
expanded the reviewer board also.
I think
Uh,
we need to extend more actually,
hmm.
mein. And there is a random selection actually of a particular article, 4 5. Just say this because I am aware of the Hepatology International because I am also in their editorial board. All. So they just give for reviewing for the 5 reviewers. Those who complete first 2 or 3, they accept and uh, disposes of the article.
See,
I
I
think
also actually in the previous editorial board meeting, I have suggested that at least 6 reviewers you should invite for each
6, yeah.
article. And sometimes what happens is you invite from the Scopus list of reviewers, and you should look at the H index of the person. If the H index is going to be 150 or so, nobody will agree to review your article. Your impact factor is low, and those are the people who are at much higher level. So you must invite people around 25, 30 H index, and then people will apply. This we have discussed earlier also. And sometimes the authors are very upset that editors have invited 9 reviewers, all 9 have replied, and how can I reply 9 reviewers' answers? So authors are very upset with that. So I said you can't
I
help
think
it.
3 or 2 they are the ideal also. It happens like that. One of my article was selected in CGH. Based upon the 3 reviewer, they have accepted it, but they invited the 4. The fourth one has given strictly against its publication, and after giving the positive note, then they have rejected the article. It happened with me.
Hmm. This happens actually
Yeah,
because if 5 people have 5 reviewers have reviewed the article and 4 of them have said very nice article, except one person says reject, then I read very carefully what he has written, and then we have to reevaluate the article whether what he has written is correct. If it is correct, we reject it.
and the policy of the Hepatology International is that if if they ask for 5 or 6 reviewers, if the first 3 have then they take a decision. They don't wait for fourth and fifth. I think that is the good way
That's a good
actually,
way.
where rather than selecting 3 out of 5, the moment you have the third
Third
reviewer's
one.
response, you just take a decision.
That
That would reduce the
our
number.
editorial manager also has that facility available.
Yeah.
As soon as the 3 reviewers are done, the editor will get a reply that your
Or जो बाकी के
required reviews are
and
complete.
the rest of the reviewers, they get thank you very much for
Haan,
efforts, we have
it's
taken a
already taken a
decision, sorry,
decision.
later.
So, can we have the IT people? Can we have the people on the Zoom meeting? Can remove the presentation. Kindly show us the people who are on Zoom. So, anybody would like to make any comments? Dr. Akbar had asked for some time to make comments about the basic science articles.
Well, thank you. The thing is this regarding the basic science article. So I have been reading a lot of articles. So you saw it that about 70 articles in 1 year. So in most of the cases, I find that the reviewer are either not efficient or unable to review the article because they just write it, accept it. The article is very good, but there is no good comment. And this is not for one or two articles. At least, so you will find in the dashboard that more than 80% articles, the reviewer give these types of comments. So the basic science and the actually experimental studies, we are lagging about the number of reviewers. So sometimes I send the first review I send about to 15 people or 14 people, and actually all declines and three or four agree, and then they give the comment like this. And unfortunately, they give the comment usually in favor of the article because they don't read the article, I think, and they give it is a very good article, it's a very nice article, and finally I have to review it and I find that it is not acceptable in most of the cases. So this is a big problem. So as it is the journal is the experimental and the clinical hepatology, so the experimental portions will be very much important, and you will maybe find that the experimental articles are lagging. So one of the major cause, the most of the experimental article is coming from India, and so last times I told our editor-in-chief that we should have a sessions in the INASL there because they're just copy the article which has been done before in some other journal. They're just giving that type of things. So this is one point that need not only it is not only a editorial problem, it is the overall experimental problem in India, and because the most of the articles come from the India and also for the others.
Can I
So
make a comment, sir, on each point as we
sure,
go along?
sure.
So we are dependent on you to suggest the reviewers, because in your circle of friends, you will probably have more people who are doing experimental medicine. Pragya has suggested two, three people, and we have included them in the reviewer list. And we'll request both of you to suggest more reviewers so that they can be mentioned as a basic science reviewer, and they'll pop up whenever you are selecting reviewers separately.
Okay, this is the one thing. Actually, the genuine reviewer, those who are acquainted about the experimental part, well, I'll try it, but most of the time the reviewer are not interested to do the review. You know, the natural causes. So, but I'll try so that I can get more reviewers in the experimental and the research side.
Can we increase more basic science editors?
Uh, you have,
Two, I think.
we have right now two,
There
but
are these were two top
I'm
editors.
looking for people to suggest names.
I
I,
can suggest a few.
ha, definitely, please suggest. Wherever you feel that the journal should be doing anything best, better, I think you should write to editor in chief. Whether I am there or somebody else is there, we are very happy to receive any suggestion, and that is what has been lacking actually in our in last my 5 years. I have missed that. Nobody has suggested anything.
Okay, I'll try to suggest some reviewer. I'll be talking with somebody who are involved with these types of thing and who can really review a scientific article. Okay.
And next point, sir.
And this is one major point that I have been facing. And the other point actually, so to expand the journal in so in the better positions or the widespread situations, maybe we can proceed more towards the more Asian countries. So this is another thing, and how this can be done is a matter of thinking or a matter of short meeting or something comprehensive meeting. So that I found that the paper usually coming from up to the China, but we are not getting the other research-oriented country in the Asia, for example, the Japan, Korea, Taiwan, Singapore. So that may be another approach to have the more uh, papers, both clinical and research. So some
I'll
approach
tell you
I'm
what
taking.
I am doing towards that. For every month, we select two, three articles on which we want to write the editorial. And we are generally inviting, as a first choice, people from outside our country to write the editorials. So that in their institute, people are aware that this journal is there and they want to submit an article, they can submit the article. Uh, we have invited people from Vietnam. We have invited people from Malaysia. We have invited people from Spain very frequently. We invited people from Italy. We have invited people from US. wherever we find a person has worked on that particular area and he's got a good publication on that, we tend to invite those people. And this is a good thing for executive editors, because you will then develop a networking with them, and you will have one-to-one contact with them subsequently. If you want to plan any multicentric studies, you can do that. So that will be a big advantage to you.
So I have two suggestions. One, can JCH have stalls in ASLD easel, which will increase the subscription also and will.
If since we are not publishing anything on hard copy, we have
But
nothing to show on the stalls. So
but
thing is,
stalls.
if I open a stall of JCH and people say तुम्हारा कौन सा जर्नल है, वो बोले हमारा तो ऑनलाइन ही है सिर्फ, तो दिखाना बड़ा मुश्किल हो जाता है.
And second, yeah, we can have a display of television. I mean, uh, where I mean, screen is there and we can showcase the article.
I think you can note down this point, and we can raise this point in the governing council, because we have no infrastructure. As a JCH editorial office, I am the only one who is sitting. No, to may print a hard copy, I have already approached the journal council, governing council of INASL, and they have put it across to the journal body. So journal body has to answer this year whether they want a printed copy or not. But unfortunately, most people are very apathetic towards the journal. This is what my realization is. Whenever we want to approach people to reply on a particular subject, nobody replies. And in any case, out of say 1,000 people who attend in INASL, there are only about 100 people who are interested in the academics. Other people are just. Hmm?
So second suggestion. So once the article comes to an editor, and he decides upon desk rejection or sending the reviewer, that is the major decision. Because if it has been sent to reviewers and then a couple of them say yes, then it mostly gets accepted. So while he's for the first time sending for reviewer, can we have a pop-up that why it should not be desk rejected, and then editor has to answer why he's not desk rejecting at that time when the first instance.
What you're saying is very true, but I told you it is my limitation that I cannot
It can come in a pop-up
read.
or something.
I cannot read 60 articles in a month. That means 2 articles every day, and assess them single-handedly. So some desk rejection you can also do.
No, this is for the editors, not for editor in chief. I'm asking that in the editors, we all associate editors in their desk. I mean, whatever
Pop-up they should write.
It should, as soon as we click on sending to reviewers, first thing should come: why are you sending to reviewer? Why not desk reject? And then the person, like, I will answer it why I'm not desk reject.
On 3 last meetings, plus 2 emails, I've written to all the editors that after the reviewers have given their opinion, kindly write a small paragraph as to what you think. Nobody writes.
No, I'm doing that.
You may be doing it, but majority of people are not writing anything. जो उसने लिख दिया उसके basis पे भेज दिया. That is the problem which is there.
That is the problem. Probably I don't understand the dashboard, because when we give the opinion, so we find that, so we give the opinion of the 2 reviewer or 3 reviewer, and then finally there are the 6 topics. But there is no other places, and one there is the instruction to the publisher. Does it mean that it is no?
There is one place which is your comments for the editor-in-chief. You can give your comments to editor-in-chief, which is not going to go to the author.
So there is a thing.
Second is your comments to the author. But once you have accepted the article, then you can give
to the publisher.
Publisher.
So if I reject it, then there's a place that comment to the editor-in-chief.
If you are rejecting an article, you must write why you are rejecting an article, and that should go to author. And to editor, you can write that the articles are, my comments are in the.
So how can I write in the dashboard? There is a place
Yeah, there is
to
a
write to
place.
the editor. Okay, I have been probably missed it. I like to write every time, but I don't find the place. Okay, I'll check it in the next time.
But if you are writing you have always been writing a small paragraph to the author. That is good enough for me. But most of the editors are not even writing one line to the author.
Uh, I have a slightly different point. Uh, like as you know, the liver transfer LTSI, like that also is through JCH right now, and as like I'm representing the LTSI actually as the president. So we have, you know, like I realize that number of transplant publications are increasing a lot. You know, in fact, the centers they do a really good job, and this has been discussed that uh, like perhaps that transplant community they think that we should be publishing more, and I have always thought that JCG is the best platform right now. So how do you think we can, like, we have an annual meeting in November, December, and I think last year the annual meeting, there was a delay in the abstracts for about 4 weeks, and they were sent to you late, so they could not be incorporated as a supplement in the JCH. And I told them that it has to be on time. So some suggestions that we promote this
I'll give you
because
the
yeah.
suggestions.
So LTSI continues to strongly participate. I am telling you the number of articles are also very good quality, and a lot of them are being sent to other journals, international, maybe not as good as JCH. So I thought JCH should take the provenance. So your session, sir.
Uh, Ajay is not here. Ajay was asking for an abstract issue for this particular conference. So 3 months back, I wrote to them that we require minimum 6 weeks time to process, because I know Elsevier's people who are working with us and what is the speed of their working. And now each abstract has to be given a separate DOI number. So that allotment takes long time. So I said 6 weeks time. So what happens is the last date of abstract submission is over, they have not received abstracts. So they say extend it for another 5 days, extend it for another 15 days. Finally, when the last time they have extended, only 4 weeks are left. They want us to publish and prepare the issue in 4 weeks' time.
Right.
I gave it to Elsevier, kindly do it. They try to do it and they don't do it. This time also happened. We put a deadline on Elsevier that 31st July you must be able to give us the final issue. They gave it to us 2 days before. That's why it was not printed and it has been given to you on pen drive.
So
So
like
we have
this.
been trying, but problem is blocking at the level of Elsevier.
So like I'll try to
They,
rectify this. Like this time the annual meeting is in 20 to 22nd November. So
your
what time frame should you tell me that I'll tell my society to be very
if you
careful?
are having a annual conference in December,
No, 20 to 21st, 2nd November. November, sir.
November,
Yes, sir.
then August is the time I should be writing to you. So I have not been informed that there is an annual conference.
I shall communicate, sir.
That is one thing. Second, if President of LTSI is here, I want to propose to you,
Sir.
just as INASL has instituted some awards, I think you should also institute some awards for articles published in JCH. And that will, instead of saying best article, best review article, you can say best article on liver transplantation and best review article on liver transplantation. You can institute an award.
That's a great session. Thank you, sir. That's good. Very good session.
Good
sir.
thing for us.
Right, sir.
And a big help to us. So what is happening is, even for this INASL conference, after the last date was over, the abstract was submitted. Then 15 days later, they said, these many articles may kindly be removed. And then they said, can 3 more articles have come, you add that. So thing is, these things keep on going on till late time. And the Xavier office works totally like Government of India. They are not in a hurry to do anything. They must have their full holidays. They must have their compensatory offs. एक दिन शाम को 2 घंटा extra काम करेंगे, they want a compensatory off. So that is the way they are working. So they are not in a hurry for anything. They want their full period. हमें इतना time चाहिए, उसके बिना हम नहीं करेंगे. That is the problem.
Right, sir.
Okay, sir. I think any other point from anyone?
So just one thing, which is this is more towards the Elsevier team than because it's a technical stuff. Our impact factors are based upon the articles that are published in the journal in the last 2 years. And many of us are writing for GCH, many of us are writing for IJG, somebody's writing for other journals outside, most of the places. Uh, we are not aware as to what are those journals, what are those papers which were published in the last 2 years. Now with artificial intelligence, it's quite easy that if we have an update in the time period, say our impact factors are generally released in July. So in the previous July, if we have an update that these are the articles that have been published in the journal over the last 2 years, and they are going to be taken into account when your citation comes. So those of us who are writing for other journals, even for JCH, if it's reviews or other original articles, we have it in mind that these are the things that we have to cite. So whether a system can be done, I think only the Elsevier team can give us an update on that.
I'll clarify a few points on what you have said. Self citation is never considered very good.
Not
That means
self-citation.
article published in JCH who are citing articles from JCH. And whenever the impact factor is calculated, you'll get two impact factors. One is impact factor excluding self citations, and impact factor including self citations. When we had impact factor of 3.3, we had 25% self citations. When we have impact factor 3.2 this year, we have only 10% self citations. Now, self citations, if they are more, they are counted towards negative impact on the impact factor. The impact factor is not straightforward calculating the impact of the citations. There are a lot many other things taken into account. So, as an editor in chief, I cannot recommend that you cite my own articles or cite the journal articles. This can be, if you want to do it, you can discuss informally. Now you are executive editor, so and this meeting is being recorded. I think it should not come from you.
I'm not talking about self citation. It's about any paper which is there in my journal. Anybody who is writing, who is a part of JCH, not a part of JCH, say somebody is writing something for IJG. He wants to cite a paper, and there are two similar papers which are there. They can easily cite JCH. Somebody is
As
writing.
as a journal administration, you cannot ask for it. Well, this is not an ethical framework. This can be informally discussed, but we cannot really ask for it. So, any point? The youngest member, Pragya, any point from you?
Me?
In the last editorial board meeting, there was some discussion about making some of the articles as open access.
We have discussed that. We are doing it.
That's it. I think that will significantly.
Dr. Preetham, any? Okay. If there are no further points, I declare the meeting closed and thank you very much for attending it. I'm really grateful. Thank you, Saranya. Thank you, Anurag, and thank you, Ashish.
Thank you,
Ashish
sir.
has already left.
Thank you, sir.
Very well conducted. I think it has a future. Some kind of research.
I think it is time that we start the proceedings. This meeting was actually suggested and shepherded by Usha Datta. So I'll ask her to take the lead and start the proceedings.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for having organized this joint IJG JCEH meeting. So, our interest in this whole thing was that these are two journals which are doing well in the country and can do better. so we can learn from each other and see how we can take forward. I should thank Madhumita here because she has been a part of both the journals, so she has been uh, helping us as well as helping you. So it is wonderful to have her here, and Dr. Vishal is also here with us. And these two people have been my right hand, left hand. So we have all the key opinion leaders in the publishing area here. So the aim of this whole exercise is how can we improve our journals further. So we will have brief talks of just 8 minutes just to stimulate our thought process and start off the discussion, and then we will have a 40-minute brainstorming session. So that will be a roundtable format, and with this we will like to invite Dr. Radhakrishna Devan. He is the director of SGPGI Lucknow, and a very was also the professor and head of the Department of Hepatology at PGI. He'll be speaking to us on how to ensure research integrity. Over to you, sir.
चालू नहीं हुआ अभी ठीक We had a very vibrant meeting of the JCH at 12 o'clock, between 12 and 1 o'clock. RK Dhiman, yeah. We talked about how to handle basically a journal also. We did not talk many aspects, but we talked about how to improve its functioning. That is very, very important. And now we are talking about the topic that has been given to me is how to ensure research integrity. So the question is, what is the research integrity? Research integrity refers to all of the factors that underpin good research practice or practices and promote trust and confidence in the research process. The first thing is, what is there are several headings, actually three, four. First of all is the responsible conduct of the research. The basic thing is that if you have to look for the integrity, adhere to the ethical principles. Follow established ethical guidelines principles such as the Declaration of the Helsinki and the Belmont. I don't know whether you all are aware of the Helsinki, but it was adopted in 1964 and the most recent update was in 2024. And it says that we should have the informed consent, and that is something, informed consent, that the person or or the participant, I won't say subject, because now the subject has been changed into the participant. So the participant must understand what is the risk and the benefit ratio, and participants rights should be protected also. Recent updates I have just told you, that shift from subject to the participant, and the electronic documentation formally acknowledges the electronic consent as a valid method for the informed consent. This happened for the first time only this October. Enhance transparency and the accountability. Emphasize the need of the prompt result sharing and robust documentation. So the moment you do it, I think should be present very immediately to some conference or something like that. Also it should be shared, and the data privacy and artificial intelligence. The another is the what is the Belmont report. It is also very, very important, because integrity, I think it is very, very important. We must know both the things. It is a landmark document that outlines the ethical principles and the guidelines for the protection of the human subjects in biomedical and the behavioral research. It was published for the first time in 1979. It was a response to the unethical practices in research, such as the Tuskegee syphilis study. You know about this study. You all know it. Actually, there was a control who did not have the syphilis, and the participants, they were having the syphilis, and they were not told about anything. Actually, they were just looking at the natural history. They were not given him the treatment. In 1940, the penicillin, the most effective treatment, though it was available at that time. I think these are the things we have to look for it. Then respect of the person beneficence means emphasize the importance of maximizing the benefits and minimizing the harm. So you cannot say there cannot be any harm, but you must do the minimizing the whatever the harm is there, and the justice ensure that the benefits and the burden of the research are distributed fairly and that vulnerable population are protected. So for example, in this that I told you, the syphilis the group was the vulnerable population also. Obtain informed consent, I have just told you about it. Ensures that the participant provide informed consent and understand the risk and the benefit of the research. I tell you very frankly, when I did my MD thesis, uh, informed consent was basically 3 lines or the 4 lines and signed by the person. But now we know actually we have to tell what are we are going to do, what are the benefits, what are the harms of this thing, what harm you can get it. And nowadays, so whatever the informed consent you take, it should be under the video also, video consent also that you have taken. Digital consent I have told you. Maintain confidentiality. Publication and authorship, I think it is very very important also. So whenever you do a research, many of the times you have so many authorships that they have not contributed at all. In our times it used to be the head of the department also, and there should not be any plagiarism and the fabrication also. Ensure that work is ongoing, original and the properly cited. And what is the plagiarism? Basically the act of the copying another person's ideas, words and the work and pretending they are your own, something that has been copied in this way. I think this is something we need discussion also. What is plagiarism? When we do get a check of the plagiarism, for example 30% or then you just changes the sentences and you come under the 9% or percent, although nothing has changed. I think there should be change. The main issue is that you are pretending whatever there that it is your own idea, which is wrong actually. So the plagiarism should go to that extent that it speaks about your own idea, your own research, your own methodology, each and everything. Always disclose the conflict of interest. That is very very important. Nowadays, I think first slide, any presentation internationally, you have to disclose the conflict of the interest also. Institutional and individual responsibilities. Establish research integrity policies at your institutes also. Provide research ethics training in SGPGR we are doing. When I was a student there only, and it is still going on. Rather, I would say it has expanded also. Foster a culture of the research integrity also. I think there should be some kind of workshops also. We have started the research day also, and the best papers which is a good as far as the integrity is concerned, original research is concerned, they are should be awarded also. That is the one thing. And data management and analysis, only one thing I would like to say. I think data should not be crooked. Many times what happen, you say that if we just change it, then you will get the p value which is less than 0.05. I am specifically saying the zero point zero 0.05. I think one of my paper published in gastroenterology, we did not receive the value of the less than p zero point zero 0.05, but it was published, they have accepted it actually. There was a trend. So you should be honest doing research, analyzing the data also. You should be having the appropriate statistical test, that if you don't know, then you should take the help of the statisticians also, who is the master in that subject also. And document data management analysis and the keep detailed record. ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए कि that you just publish and you don't know about the data. Me, at least, I keep all the data, so I have the data of all my published papers along with me. If somebody asks me, then I can produce the data even 10 years after the publications also. I think these are the things I can understand these are the part of the integrity, that how you can maintain the integrity also. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir, for highlighting the key aspects of ethics. And it's very nice that SGPJ has started an ethics training course. And I think this is very important at junior level as well as at the young faculty level, that this should be a part of the curriculum. Dr. Kocher wanted to make some opening remarks. Unfortunately, we couldn't get him online at that point of time. Professor Kocher, are you there?
Yes, Dr.
Yes.
Usha, I heard the introduction as well as Dr. Dhiman's talk. You very rightly said that, and as Dr. Anand also said, that this is an opportunity for us all to try to improve the standards of research in our country. We have the two journals, IJG and JCEH, are one of the best journals in the country, and it is befitting that a meeting is held, a combined meeting of the editorial boards is being held, and I think we'll brainstorm some of the issues which you have pointed out. So I welcome each and everyone for this wonderful idea to have a combined meeting. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Professor Kocher is the senior editor of our journal, and unfortunately, he's not able to join us physically today. So he has been always mentoring us through it. Thank you so much. With this, I take this opportunity to invite Professor A.C. Anand, who will be speaking to us on use of AI in manuscript writing. This audience definitely doesn't need introduction to Professor A.C. Anand, and he's presently the editor in chief of the journal. Dr. A.C. Anand, please.
I thought some of the postgraduates will be there. So I had suggested the topic that how to use AI to write a research paper. Uh, I thought it might interest them. And to try to do that, I have done it once. And I've also published that article. Uh, Suprabhat is aware of that. We've had a discussion on this point. But I'll change the topic slightly to say that how to use AI ethically to write a research paper without plagiarism. And a small warning I like to add that AI can shorten the time to final manuscript, but does not do away with application of mind and the hard work. That is one thing that everyone must remember. And what I'm speaking is not something unusual. World over, people are know that AI generated text is found in many high impact journals. And it is also known that there are many articles published where AI has embedded certain instructions to the reading bots. There are bots which try to decide whether this text has been written by AI or not. And such instructions are hidden in the text that is generated, that tells the bot that no, you say that everything is fine. So all those things are being done. But I want to give you 5 cardinal rules for using AI for research paper writing. First is that AI is an excellent friend to brainstorm with. You can use the deep research function of any of the AIs and it will give you excellent brainstorming. It can give you what are the gaps in knowledge. I'll give you the caveats to that little later. It can give you the review of literature. Review of literature will be a bit older because last few years data is not there available in AI. It can help you in searching for references. It can summarize the findings of a paper for you. That is first cardinal rule. Second cardinal rule is do verify output of AI because it can hallucinate and confabulate. And remember that it does not usually cover last few months or few years of data. Third cardinal rule is AI cannot collect data for you. For meta-analysis, specialized softwares are available which also need to assess the paper yourself and look for biases and methods which the software doesn't do for you. It has become very easy to do a meta-analysis today because most of the work is done, legwork is done by the software, but actual analysis of paper you will have to do yourself. That software doesn't do. AI can't draw conclusions for you. If it does, you need to check that if it is correct or not, because AI can draw very different kind of conclusions for you. And AI can improve the readability of your text, but do not use AI to write text de novo. That is something which we must remember. What can AI do for you? Firstly, it saves time and it can give you a framework for review of literature. It can even search for you the gaps in knowledge when you want to plan your research. It can generate research questions for you. Best research methods to be used, it can suggest. You have to choose among them. It can generate protocol planning research proposals, it can do for you. Once you've selected what methods you will use, it can draft the research proposal for you. It can create master chart for you to fill in data. And it can analyze the data that you have collected. The warning is Gemini can make mistakes. Please verify the output before use. Now, thing is, this I've taken verbatim from what Gemini writes. Gemini is the Google's AI. With every AI, you get a warning that AI can make mistakes. Please check the output uh, for validity or not. Then you have to find out after the output is taken that does it make sense or not. What would I say if such a proposal is submitted to me? Will I accept it or will I find some loopholes in it? So you have to criticize that output which has been given by the AI. And major limitation is, as I mentioned earlier, recent publications are not included. Which AI to use? Very powerful AIs are available today. Yesterday, ChatGPT 5 was released. I think it is extremely powerful. It can do everything for you. But again, you have to check that warning which I have given you earlier. Gemini 2.5. Unfortunately, the free versions which are available are not very powerful. They will not do full justice to what you want them to do. So you have to buy a paid AI app. And the one who are using Airtel, I think they can get Perplexity free for 1 year. Claude free versions have very limited, as I mentioned. There is also an article, YouTube video available which says how to use AI to write research paper. And when I was looking for the material for this talk, I realized that there is a video also on this subject. Video is made by Microsoft people, and therefore it is recommended its own AI bots. SciSpace is very good for searching out gaps in knowledge. It can also check the final paper for you to avoid being detected as AI generated. So after you've written the final paper, you can subject it to SciSpace, and it'll tell you whether it will be detected as AI or not. It can convert your paper to a video by AI voice. Many of the good Q1 journals, when your paper is accepted, they ask you to give an interview so that it can be put on the social media. So it can generate that video of interview and it can give the main message of your article. Those videos can be generated in AI voice and AI figure also you can choose. AvidNote is very good for making research questions. It can suggest the Q1 journal that you should send your article to. It can write Twitter thread for you after the paper has been published. So you don't have to decide what to write in the Twitter thread. It can make it for you. Jenny and PaperPal are another ones. They write draft manuscript for you and suggest improvement on the manuscript that you have prepared. How to avoid plagiarism? This is something which every AI tool can give you that article. It can do proofreading for you, format it as per the journal's requirement. You've written a paper for a particular journal from where it is rejected, you want to change it to another journal's format, the AI can do it for you. It can suggest the title, keywords, and the forwarding letter. It can draft for you. AI is like a stethoscope, and it cannot replace what is between the two ears for interpreting the implications of what you have done. And as I mentioned in the last, can editor know that it is AI generated? There are AI tools to fool this type of bots also, but most of the publication houses have their own system of finding out how much of the text is AI generated. I'll stop here, and if there are any questions, I'm willing to answer.
Since this is a very specific topic, I think we can have a few questions.
I would like to add another is a notebook LM, which is also very helpful. So the free version can take up to 50 PDFs at a time, and it can give you a summary of all the studies combined. So let's say I'm working on any review article or a meta-analysis on a particular topic, I can put all the studies into that, and then whatever the questions you ask, it will give you answer based on the findings from the study. So that is something also which can be helpful, and there is a mind map also available in that. That also can give you an idea regarding your flow of the article.
But the warnings that I mentioned, that must be kept in mind.
Yes, Dr. Rakesh.
So, if you look at the ICMJE and other organizations' statements on the use of AI, because most of us are looking at it from the journal point of view, you don't have authors here. It is very clear that the word expects any use of AI to be clearly revealed in the cover letter and in the manuscript, including what are the terms you used, etc., etc. And it's at least the top journal editors are not happy about people using AI to write. The second thing I think that we need to tell our reviewers. So I'm looking at it purely from the journal editor viewpoint, that they should, because you also have places where you can upload the manuscript and get review comments. But remember, we are violating the basic oath that the journal editors and reviewers take, not to share somebody's manuscript with somebody, because you upload it, the AI tool uses it for learning, and then it may reveal that at somewhere else. So that is something that we must tell our reviewers not to do this. Thank you.
Just have one question, and I think as a part of the journal guidelines, as Sir was mentioning, uh, what is the amount of disclosures that the authors should be following? Whichever software, should they all be individually
Yes.
pointed out?
Yes, it is a requirement. If you have used AI for any specific thing, you must specifically disclose that AI has been used for this particular thing.
Should it be AI or the specific software's name also,
Software
which should be?
software's
See,
name
not
should be.
only this thing, the query that you used, the terms that you used, everything should be revealed, and that's very clearly said. And the better way to pick up that the use of AI is actually natural intelligence rather than AI itself. There are very tortured terms that you can find. There are it's possible to make out by human beings that AI has been.
What about using AI to shorten your article? Quite often, abstracts have to be shortened, quite often, manuscripts have to be shortened. Have you used it for that?
No, I have never used it for this, but I don't think AI can do justice to what is there in your mind. What is the key findings of that your paper? It may shorten it, it may think it is not important and may remove that. So that probably will not save time, it will only waste your time.
See, the problem that editors have is that it may artificially clean up the paper. The paper may look very nice, whereas actually the methods used were not those clean. That is the biggest mistake.
Dr. Anand, what was the fiction yesterday? Now it is a reality also. Now the AI has come. You said that it can make research question. It can set you the methodology. Just I want you, can it predict the results also so that a study may not be done?
If the data is already available and it is not a gap in knowledge that you've picked up, I'm sure it can predict the results. But again, results can be conflicting, and it will tell you that both ways it can go.
That is confabulations. Yeah.
So just one more question about AI. So once you give it to AI to improve the quality of say English in the article or the shorten the article or for whatever, in contrast to track changes which you get in Word, do you have something equivalent there to know what it has done?
I have not come across that kind of advantage that you will be looking for. Uh, Asking them to clean up the language can have problems that it may change the context, it may change the meaning. From what it understands is the thing which is being said, it may change that. So you'll have to recheck whether what he has written is exactly what you meant or not.
Yeah, my the second part of the question is, do you have a track change equivalent there to tell you what
I have
it
not
has
found that.
changed?
Future, the problem in that is if your English is poor and your sentences don't have one meaning and have two meanings, the software may think of it as the opposite and may change it. And if you don't have enough skills to understand the two meanings of the sentence, you will not realize that the meaning has changed to the opposite. That's where the whole problem is.
And I think the track changes cannot occur there because AI's method of working is that it will try to understand what you have written and rewrite in it in his own words.
Any other question?
As of today, the use of AI is yes, no, or is there a gray zone? So, what do the journals expect the authors to
There are
say?
some places where it is permitted for improving your language and all, but in most other places it is not looked very highly upon.
So, that one is perception. The other is what is the requirement? Do the journals should say do not use AI for this, and the authors should
Nobody
opt
says
for it?
anything.
No, ICMJ recommendations are absolutely clear. If any kind of use of AI must be declared.
It must be declared, that's all, but it doesn't
But
ask you not to
then
use it.
editor's decision will depend on that. If you find that this has been used to a large extent, then you wouldn't publish that paper. That's what they would do.
Yeah, the recommendations are that you have to acknowledge it in your acknowledgement section. It should also go in your cover letter. And there is a paragraph in ICGMA guidelines which very clearly states if you use AI, what you should do.
So, like copyright transfer, are we looking at authors to submit this document as well for each and every submission? Or we are just leaving it open-ended as of now?
I think in the acknowledgement section you have to mention and in your cover
One is
letter.
like we write a copyright transfer. Similarly, we write this, we use AI or we did not use any AI for this publication. Is it expected or we are just leaving it?
No, it is not expected for you to write we are not using AI, but if you use, you have to mention. Yes, Dr.
Many journals want you to explicitly state during their submission process that no AI was used or AI was used. If you have used for some process, for instance, if you used it to extract data for a meta analysis, they would expect it to appear within the manuscript in the method section. If you used it, so they would expect you to write that. If you used it only for language, they would expect you to write it in the acknowledgement, just like you would have written if you took the help of an external agency to write the manuscript for you. So this is how it is. If you used it as a tool, then uh, uh, they wanted you to write it in the methods of the paper rather than in the acknowledgements or anything.
Actually, most of the AI tools that I mentioned, they can also create a syntax for you to search the thing that you want in various databases. PubMed, Embase, Ovid, how to search, what to write there on the search box, it can generate that syntax for you.
So we have two questions from our online participants. Anurag Jena says AI to find matching reviewer. The filters today are very orthodox.
I wish it was possible. Our at least the Elsevier I have some experience with, they do not have any such system available.
It's risky. So what is happening is it is risky because that means your manuscript will then go to the AI and it will identify. So the top journals in the world, they are developing their own in-house AI tools where all their manuscripts go, but it is not shared with the rest of the world, and from there you can identify. That's what BMJs and Lancet and NEJM etc. are doing today. They have their own AI server in-house, which is not connected to the rest of the world.
So I think this is for suggest nudging reviewers. So when we're using Scopus to search for a reviewer, that is an AI which is actually identifying people who have published in that field, and that
So
comes
it
as
depends what is uploaded. Are you uploading the title and keywords, or are you uploading the whole manuscript?
abstract and the title and keywords too into the Scopus identification for review. So entire manuscript is not.
Yeah. So many people would say that even abstract should really, if you see, it was a different thing if you had a database and you use that to search. The problem is in LLM is that when you upload it to search, automatically it also includes this in its own database, and that is where the concern is. That is where the concern is. You
What
use
Anurag, what Madhumita said is available in Elsevier. So that kind of AI is available.
So there's just one more question before we move on to the next speaker. One from Dr. Anand Kulkarni. He says language editing by experts is already existing. Most Indian papers are rejected saying using native language expert is not there. So why use of AI is frowned upon?
Why should?
Why is use of AI frowned upon, especially with people who find it difficult in English because of native language not being English?
No, it is not frowned upon. They only have to acknowledge it.
Yeah, so Dr. Anand, if you can hear us, Dr.
Yes,
Anand
ma'am.
says it has to be just acknowledged once you use it for language editing.
if you use a language editing service, even that you are supposed to acknowledge.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Take home, sir, which we should add it to our submission checklist in the editorial manager. When authors are submitting, they must declare which program they have used, what keywords for search. So we add it to our checklist as well.
But we also have to have it in our policies that if we detect and they have not declared, and also our associate editors and editors have to start looking at what they entered in the checklist. The problem is that many things are entered in the checklist and we are not looking at that. That is where the problem in our kind of journals is.
Meanwhile, can I request Akash to kindly note down these points for us to take action on?
Sure. Now, sir, next one he's
The
coming
next
online.
talk is Professor Amit Goel from Lucknow. Is he online?
Yeah, he's online.
Okay. He's going to tell us, is the statistical plan appropriate? Dr. Goel.
Am I audible, sir?
Yes.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, ma'am. I don't know how much I will do justice with this topic, but I know Dr. Rakesh is there to help me and support wherever is needed. So, sorry, slide. In summary, if I say when we are using statistics in context of original data analysis, as a reviewer or as an editor, what we have to see is the sample size estimation, very important aspect, data analysis, data presentation, and data interpretation, results interpretation, we can say. So these are the 4 points in a manuscript of original data where the statistics is used. And these are some of the common mistakes which I have noticed in several journals, including both of our journals. So just I have tried to summarize them. Yeah. So most of the studies, many times I find that actually studies are reporting prevalence, but while writing, they are mentioning it as incidence. So we need to know there's difference between incidence and prevalence. Two major difference at least. Incidence include only new events, occurrence of new event per unit time and per unit population. For example, 6 deaths due to stroke per lakh population aged more than 60 years per year in Chandigarh. So if somebody is reporting incidence, then this is the format, at least incidence has to be reported, but most of the time it is actually prevalence which is written as incidence. Prevalence is most of the time reported as proportion of the total population with outcome of interest. If same outcome we have to report as prevalence can be the 6% of deaths were due to stroke in a population age more than 60 in 2024 in Chandigarh. So that could be the format. So this is a common mistake where prevalence is reported and written as incidence. Second thing is, very commonly and very loosely the word is used as cases and controls were matched. Actually, most of the time it is cross-sectional studies where simultaneously cases and controls both are recruited, and their important variables such as age, gender, or other laboratory variables are compared. When the two variables are comparable between the cases and control, they are reported as this age and gender were matched. That is showing that the two groups are comparable, but this is not the matching. What is matching? Matching means first you recruit case, then you find out the controls, one control per case or two control or three control per case as per your requirement, and then you are matching them for certain variable which are important confounders like age, gender, disease severity, or something else, whatever is the matching criteria is selected. And if we are doing a match study, then analysis has to be matched pair analysis. Means the outcome in cases has to be matched only with the outcome in controls, not with the other people in the same study. Like here I have shown in the box, right? The yellow one in one box, the outcome in one case has to be compared with the two controls only in this, but not with the entire cohort. That is the one of the major probably misunderstanding about the match and unmatched studies are there, which I have noticed over the years. Then one important aspect, because randomized control is very fascinating and obviously easy to publish, good recognition is there for RCTs, so we are all fond of doing RCTs. But most of the time financial burden we forget when what it is associated with any interventional study, which is randomized control trial. The cost may be related to intervention per se, or hospitalization required to conduct that intervention, investigation required to complete research. It may be simple hemoglobin, TLC, platelet, LFT, HCV RNA, HBV DNA, and the extra cost required for travel, food, and lodging of the participant for extra visit which is required for the research. And most of the RCTs what we are getting are unfunded. So that is an important point which I find, but most of the time I don't comment on it. And also we have to think, whenever a person is traveling for an extra visit, there is a person who is accompanying the patient. So that is also the financial burden on the participant which we have to think of, and should, whatever is possible, feasible, applicable, within limit, should try to minimize the cost or bear the cost as per our end. Then another important aspect which we wish to bring in is sample size estimation. Randomized controlled trial, it is primarily based on the primary objective of the study. That is why RCTs are typically asked to have one primary objective with multiple secondary objective, but primary objective has to be one, and the sample size has to be calculated for primary objective. There are some assumptions about the expected outcome in the control arm. Outcome may be in terms of mean and standard deviation, or proportion, or survival, whatever applicable depending on the type of outcome. Expected difference in outcome in intervention arm as compared to control. Enrollment ratio of case and control, whether 1:1 ratio or 1:2 ratio, that will determine the size. Level of significance, most of the time it is 0.05, but for non-inflated trial, or superiority trial, it has to be 0.025, not the 0.05. Then the power of the study, most of the time by default we are taking 0.8, but if we want to make our result more robust, probably we need 0.9 or higher. So I will just briefly cover expected difference, because this is the mistake which is most commonly done. Larger the difference in the expected outcome between the control group and the intervention arm, smaller will be the sample size. Just for the sake of the completion of the study, we inflate the difference, which will reduce the sample size. But my question is, if there is so much difference between the two arms, is it ethical to do a study? Then it is unethical, because the very basic requirement of any randomized control trial is the equipoise of data. There is means we don't have adequate evidence that the two arms are not different. So if there is so much difference, we can see in the third row that the so much difference in the outcome between the two arms, then there's no need to do an RCT actually. So this is a major mistake we do. Then this is another common type of mistake which I have noticed sometime, that assumption taken from the literature for the outcome in control and intervention arm shall be for the primary outcome, but not for the other outcome. Means our primary objective of the study is something else, but when we are calculating sample size, it is based on the secondary outcome. It is not appropriate. For example, if my primary objective for intravenous use of LOLA in ACLF is to compare 30-day transplant-free survival in ACLF patient, and the secondary objective is to compare the change in serum ammonia level after use of LOLA, then any study which has given change in serum ammonia level cannot be used as a base for sample size calculation. Sample size calculation has to be based on the primary objective of the study, which was done by the study. This is the new thing I have noticed in last 1-2 years, and it's form of epidemic. All the journals, everyone is simply analyzing all the continuous variable for the distribution normality of the data. Then one variable is given as mean and standard deviation because it was normal. Another continuous variable is given as median and interquartile range, which makes the data extremely difficult to understand. So as a whole, we have to see if our majority of the data is showing normalcy, then we have to express them in mean and SD. If largely it is not normal, then we have to use median and interquartile range. And also this is a common mistake to give mean and standard error of mean instead of mean plus SD, because standard error of mean will always be very small as compared to standard deviation, just to make the result more impressive and more acceptable that yes, my result is very good. So it is common error to give it. Then the result should be provided with 95% confidence interval so that we can really understand what the effect size may vary from minimum to maximum. Another last thing is p-value. It is many times written as p-value as 0, 0, 0. It is absolutely wrong. It can never be 0. It has to be written either less than 0.001 or whatever number of digits after decimal we have accepted in that format, but it should never be written as 0, 0, 0, because probability cannot be 0. So this is the all I have noticed over the year with our 2 journals and several other journals which I could summarize. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Amit. You've really pointed out the key things and very beautifully pointed them out. And these are quite common, and I don't find a paper which doesn't have any one of these errors. And thank you. With this, we have questions from the floor. Dr. Vishal wants to ask something. Maybe you can come to that mic and ask.
We're sitting in a room where there are a lot of statistical wizards, but I find this whole concept of sample size calculation very, very problematic. The reason is that what is feasible and achievable, if you truly calculate, it will never, the sample size will almost never be that. So what you do is you take a power of 0.8, right? Then you increase the estimated difference in effect size, and then you change your primary outcomes. From a categorical, you go to something like mean, so that you get that sample size which is workable. So I think a concept which is so problematic, why it continues to be part of uh, I mean such an important part of designing research, that it actually, I would say that most of the problems that happen with study designs are because of this, that sample size calculation.
Yes, Amit, do you want to respond? Usually, when you are not able to achieve the sample size, you should call it a pilot study. Amit?
Ma'am, actually, uh, if we are not able to achieve, we will not be, we know at the time of designing the study, we know that this much sample size is not able to complete, then it's better to do a pilot study. But the issue is, probably many time it is not justified to do a pilot study in a randomized control trial format. Sample size issue is the major problem for randomized control trial, because if it is the sample size is inadequate, your results are not acceptable. And the issue is, we are exposing the participant to another arm, which will be unethical if our study is not going to give you an acceptable result. Whether positive or negative, it doesn't matter.
Yes, Madhumita wants to ask something.
So again, the same thing arises. If we are calculating the sample size as per the primary objective, and we have a whole lot of secondary objectives as is now in most of the studies, but they will maybe underpowered for those objectives. So do you recommend that we actually calculate the sample size separately for two or three or different objectives and then arrive at one? That's the first question. The second thing is, how do we as editors work with a paper? Because many of the manuscripts that are coming to our journals are actually student thesis, and they are always underpowered. So as an editor, what would you recommend we follow as a policy in the journals? Do we insist that it be presented as pilot study, or do we could downgrade it to a research letter, because they are not going to get cited in case they are, or they may not have that power to make any kind of conclusion? So this is always due to sample size related issues. That's the first question. Second is, you mentioned if it's predominantly your data is in normal distribution, then you give mean plus or minus SD, but some of those variables may actually be skewed. So in that case, for example, platelet count and total leukocyte count may be skewed. Hemoglobin and creatinine, urea will be normally distributed. So then are is everything supposed to be mean or SD, or I mean usually we have a mix of the two?
Yeah, so second question is easy to answer. I will answer first. Is, we have to see our data entirely as a whole, not the piecemeal. So first we have to determine what are the most important variable related to our objective of the study. Suppose if we are doing a study on hepatitis C virus, cirrhotic patient, then probably albumin, creatinine, PTINR, SCV RNA load, these things are much more important variable than simple hemoglobin or alkaline phosphatase. So if you feel that there are a mix of distribution type, then you look at primarily on the most important determinant of the your objective or the outcome, and determine your presentation according to their distribution. If the important determinants are normally distributed, then give them all the data as mean plus SD. If important determinants are not normally distributed, go for median and IQR. That is the solution to it, because yes, this is the problem, all the data will not be normally distributed. Then the first question was sample size issue. See, as an editor, we have no right to advise to any author that they should convert it into pilot study, because any change in study design, sample size calculation is permitted only before the study completion or start of the study. Once everything is planned, done, then it is all manipulation. So manipulation we cannot discuss here. I think you had asked one more question which I have missed. Uh,
Sample size.
Sample size, that was
So
that.
what do we do as a journal? Because many of the times papers are submitted which are products of student thesis. All of those are feasibility design. It's not possible to always have a fully, but the the science behind it may be good, but then we find that it is not powered to support whatever conclusion has been written by the student and the guide, and they've submitted as an article. This is probably 40 to 50% of all the original articles that are currently coming in. And we need to know what to do with this as a policy, as editors, whether we take it or we reject it, or we say that all right, this you can send it as preliminary data, because to be a great journal we will have to discuss how to do or handle these kind of manuscripts.
I
Issue
think if
is
it is negative, I think it should be quoted as underpowered for that outcome. Yes, Dr. Rakesh, you wanted to say something.
So, several issues. The first of all, let me talk.
sir, please use the mic. I also want to listen.
You can come to the
So,
podium mic.
no, I'm fine. I'm fine. So, firstly, mean and median issue. The biggest lie we have been taught in our medical school is regarding where mean and median should be used, and that if the data are not normally distributed, then you should use non-parametric statistics. There is nothing that is farther from truth. It's as much truth as parents teaching children that 12th कर लो, उसके बाद तो life बन गई, उसके बाद मेहनत नहीं करनी है. The idea, if you want to show how individual values vary from the measure of central tendency, then you need to look at it that if data are not normally distributed, you should give median and IQR. If your idea is to say overall group's mean is average is this much, then you are supposed to give mean and confidence intervals around it. Unfortunately, even for this purpose, we continue to do median and range, which is incorrect. Secondly, sample size. Sample size is really needed only for certain kind of studies and not necessarily for everything. It depends on how certain you want to be of your conclusions. If you do a trial, definitely need it. If you do an estimation of something, then it depends whether if I'm going to set up clinics in the country and I want to know for diabetes, and if I think that 10% people, I want to estimate and I find 10%, but I need to know whether the 10% could be from 9 to 11 or could that be from 5 to 15, because if it is 5 to 15, so really speaking, even there we might need. The only problem is that what was said, that to beat this, then we take wider confidence. So I think we really need to look at it. Only the other day, this week, we had a journal club article that was being discussed, a paper from India, where they said one treatment has 14% failure rate, the other treatment is 40%. They want to pick up the difference. They called it, one has 60% success rate, the other has 86% success rate. Let me not name the paper. So my point was, if it is 1% is 14% failure, other is 40%, then you don't need to do the study. Then you possibly can see it every day in your practice. And their sample size was 2020. So that is where the problem is. So you really need to look at the whole thing. If you think that data, the question is such that there's no equipoise, then the trial is obviously wrong. The third question you asked was, what do you with MD thesis? I know most of you won't agree with me. To me, MD theses are not research. The first dosa I made was not a dosa worth presenting to the world. The first embroidery that my daughter did was not embroidery. Those are supposed to be like my wife stood by me when I made my first dosa, or she stood by my daughter when she did her first embroidery. That is what they are. Absolutely. Unfortunately, we, the faculty, are at fault. We don't do our own research, we don't follow our own projects, and we are becoming dependent on that and calling that our research. I know everybody will disagree with me. Please feel free to disagree with me. I have no problem with that.
Always.
Yes, sir. Right, sir. We have to be like Dr. Khuru. I'm sure he knew everything in his data about the studies that he did. Right. So that is how it has to be. It cannot be that you give a thesis to MD or DM resident and that is your, that's not research, that is training in research.
I think it is the faculty which is either important, responsible, and
please pass on.
Sorry. Thank you very much. I think there were several questions which I would like to address. First important is all this is a statistical evaluation. It should be looked at statistically. And most of us, or many of us, don't understand statistics. So have a statistician everywhere involved in it, and he should evaluate what he's doing. That's number. And one of the most brilliant statistician here is Rakesh. There's no doubt about that. We agree with that. He has so much insight into that. So it is a statistical evaluation which should be not done by us. We should be done somebody who understands statistics. And all these things, what you put, should be left to him, who is, he should be a part of the journal. He should be a part of the evaluation of every paper. Second is what Rakesh said about the MD thesis. I think the fault does not lie with the students. It lies with the faculty. A faculty has to understand a department, what is he doing and what projects are doing and what is to be sorted out and what is to be answered. At least 8 or 9 of my projects, which have been published in high-ranking journals, have been MD theses, and they've come from that. So important is what the faculty is doing rather than the student is naive and he just does what the faculty tells him or what the teacher tells him. I think it's at the level of the teacher. Yes, sir, Professor Anand.
Thank you. I think we have.
Can I make a
yes,
small comment?
Just quick comments.
Okay. This is about consulting a statistician. Most of the medical colleges today hire statisticians, and unfortunately, those statisticians do not understand what we are trying to convey, and they have their own interpretation. So you require a very close interaction with them to explain to them that this is what result we are trying to look at, and then only they can give a correct advice. Most of the time, when the MD thesis students go to statisticians, statistician decides on its own what test will be done without even understanding what is the requirement of the subject.
Yes, it's a very.
That's because we don't understand the language. If I go to an Italian restaurant or a Mexican restaurant, I need to understand what those dishes mean. If I don't, and I go and order, they will also make what they think I want, right? So you need to understand the language. That is exactly what I mean. Yeah, agree. So we really need to start understanding. If you want to do gut microbiota, you need to understand gut microbiota. You need to understand what is 16S ribosomal RNA. You need to understand everything. Unfortunately, we are not willing to invest in that. So that is how it is.
Quite often, statisticians say that people.
So if you want to do research, sir, I'll tell you. To me, the biggest problem is our NMC rules, which want everybody, faculty member, to do research. Research is a specialized thing that only a few people are interested in doing, and they will do. Unfortunately, we've made it a rule for everybody, and so everything is being called research. That is the problem. I'm a strong proponent of
just
that.
last question. We have to move to the next one.
To because what Vishal sir was saying, and again this problem with sample size. Now there are different studies. A diagnostic accuracy study might have it has a different way of calculating the sample size. RCT has a different way of sample size. A cohort study has a different way of sample size. I frequently see that same formula of using prevalence and that being used to justify a sample size calculation. I think those are again aspects that need to be looked at.
So I think this is a big problem. There is a lot of manipulation which happens at the sample size level, and I think as editorial board members, we should look at it very carefully and critically, and question the authors on that, and downplay their conclusions, and downplay and have that in the limitation section. Call it an underpowered study, so that we don't close the doors on that particular topic in that thing. So quite often statisticians say that they come into the picture for only N and P. N is for sample size and P is for P value. And sometimes people go only for the P value. And in Chandigarh, across our road, we have Punjab University. So people go to Punjab University for a P value. And all of them go across and with their thesis get some P values and come to us. So I have tried to endeavor to do my own analysis. So it is very important for clinicians to learn a little bit of statistics. I don't think you need to know the formulas, but we just need to know the concepts. Yes, I think we will be short of time for other discussions. I should move quickly into the next topic from Dr. Suprabhat Giri. Dr. Suprabhat Giri, he will be speaking to us on how to create a good quality graphical abstract. So he is our digital expert. So he will speak to us on the same. And he is the art editor of our journal. Yes, Suprabhat. Artist.
Can I have the slides?
We'll have a music editor.
so, so moving on from academic discussion to somewhat non-academic or artistic discussion. So as we have a lot of journals now asking for graphical abstracts, so we'll give some points regarding how to create a good graphical abstract. So what is a graphical abstract? It is a single concise visual summary summarizing the main findings of the study, and usually it has highlights the key components, the PICO questionnaire, and mostly focus on the results of the study. Can include the methods also. So why use a graphical abstract? So it increases the visibility because now we're in the age of social media. So it will increase the leadership if you can post a link of the article along with the graphical abstract when we are putting in the social media. And also in Twitter now we have majority of the journals coming up with their own Twitter handles, and ultimately all of this will transform into increase in citations, because when people only will study that something regarding, yeah, increase in reads, and that would ultimately so what is the principle of a good graphical abstract? First, it should have clarity, it should have one key message, it should have simplicity, like it should have a minimal text like we have in our PowerPoint presentations. It should have a visual hierarchy. We'll discuss what is visual hierarchy in the next slide. And it should be accurate because it should match the findings of the study. So what is visual hierarchy? It is like organization of the elements in a page to direct the reader's eye, so and emphasize the most important findings. So how can we achieve it? First is emphasizing the size, like whatever the key findings we can highlight it in broad, we can increase the size of that fonts using colors. Color combination is there, we'll discuss in the next slide. Increasing contrast, how to use the alignment, reducing repetition. If there is a too much clutter is there, then also people will have difficulty in comprehending. So we'll have some space, utilization the white space and texture and the style. So how do we design a hierarchy or alignment? So this is the when designing a graphical abstract, these two patterns are commonly followed, that is the F pattern or the Z pattern, because our eyes move in this direction, so they will guide the reader's eye towards the main findings of the study. So how to plan your message? So you define the take home message, that should be or the concluding message should be the most important part of your graphical abstract. Identify essential data, because many a times we have multiple methods, multiple results. So focus should be on the primary outcome rather than including multiple secondary outcome. We find people including the entire table in the graphical abstract. Usually that should be avoided. Understand your audience and you use a planning flow chart before you start on working the graphical abstract. So few tips. So use vector graphics. Vector graphics are available freely in multiple sites, will be showing in the next slide. Limit to 2 to 3 color shades. Also how to choose the color shade I will tell in next slide. And try to use icons rather than detailed or 3D images in your because that makes the visual summary simple. So what are the tools for design available? One is BioRender, Mind the Graph. We have Canva, flat icon, and most commonly used is the PowerPoint, and we have Adobe Illustrator. Out of this, most complex is one is the Adobe Illustrator, and PowerPoint is the most simplest one. Canva, the free version is actually very limited, but if you take the paid version, somewhere it comes around 4,000 per year, and it has got a very good quality collection of all the infographics, and also they have layouts also which can be used. Flat icon is something which is a free site. Also, it has got a lot of icons. BioRender and Mind the Graph, they also come with subscription. Free version usually just not usable. Then how to select the color combination? This is the Adobe color swatches. So we usually go for when we usually go for a color combination, you first look at the what is the journal combination. Let's say this is the usually we select blue color for JCH, or orange color for the our Indian Journal of Gastro. So if we are taking this orange color, then these are the colors that go well with this orange color. So these are the color swatches which you can use while designing your graphical abstract. What are the methods to be mistakes to avoid? First is, do not put too much text, and if you have included a icon but you do not have the labels, because not all icons are easily understandable, then if you have inaccurate or misleading visuals, low resolution images, and unfriendly colors, very contrasting colors or very irritating colors are usually should be avoided. So this is, I have taken two of the graphical abstracts from Indian Journal of Gastro. First is the option 1 and option 2. You can clearly see the difference. Anyone who is reading obviously would just skip the first one, and obviously would focus on the findings of the option 2. So these are the things that we need to improve graphical abstracts. So I'll just in a minute I will just show a quick step by step guide. So this is from one of the studies by Dr. Manas. We have designed this. So this is a study on the efficacy of yogic technique for bowel preparation colonoscopy, which has been published. And so now we go for the what are the things that we need to include. We are focusing on three things: subject, intervention, and outcome. Now we have chosen the color combination as per the color swatch that we used. So this is the color swatch that we will be using. Then we move on to the icons. All these icons have been downloaded from flat icon. Then I move on to the intervention, outcomes, and finally some finishing touches like highlights can be added, and there we have the final result. So take home message: the graphical abstract should be simple, it should be have a clarity, and it should be accurate. The message should be planned before designing. Including too much data or too many outcomes in the graphical abstract make this clumsy. Choose the right tools which we have already discussed, and you can follow the journal guidelines. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Suprabhat. Now you know why he's our artist editor of our journal, art editor of our journal. So we can have some quick questions from the floor, and then before we move to the next topic.
I think this is a very important aspect of publication, because most of the journals have mandatory that they should do graphic abstract. I think this is a very important.
The other one you can pick.
Okay. Right. Thank you. Thank you. It's working. Yes. Thank you. We have this is a very important aspect of publications now, because the journals, most of them want graphic abstract, and some of the guidelines you gave, they're already part of the guidelines for journals how it should be made. I would suggest, that's what I've been doing for the last 2 years, to have a graphic designer with you, and I work with him once a week. Necessarily, once you're publishing, you have a proper graphic abstract. You can do it for your figures also. He can be of great help to you. And even if you want to do anything else, but for graphic abstract, I think what you put is very important. But it is not possible for you and me to do it. I
Yes.
mean, not you, you can do it, but I'm saying the people are, you have to have a graphic designer, make him understand what you want, make him understand what the journal wants, and you have already given the guidelines. He does a much better job than we do it.
Yes.
So, bringing that question up, where for the journal, Indian Journal of Gastroenterology, we have hired a graphical abstract person who Dr. Suprabhat
And
supervises him,
while you are
and
on that, sorry, while you are on that, don't use any of these tools. I don't use them. I use the graphic abstract person, the graphic designer. He doesn't use any of them. He uses the software and does a brilliant job. I know how to use some of them, like PowerPoint and few of them, but they are quality-wise poor. The graphic designer makes a beautiful work.
so
Sir,
we
having
have a
said that,
graphic designer, sir, for the journal. Now he has made a template for all the figures that we use. I'll just show it when I'm going to have
Right,
my talk.
right.
And this person is employed as a part-time person, and he has now designed a graphical abstract, and now he's actively involved in improving the quality of images in the journal.
My clinic has a full-time graphic designer. He's a full-time person there.
Thank you.
yeah,
Yes, just quick.
I just want to add this
In Dr.
point
Sehgal.
that having said that, I think that the young, boys and the fellows who are doing the studies, I think making a graphic design yourself is a great exercise, and it is very stimulating. And although the tools he mentioned need subscription, including the Adobe Professional is excellent, very good, and the Sora also is excellent. You will be aware of that. But I think that if you've written a paper, you spent months and 1 year on it, and then you sit down on 2 3 days and make a your graphic design. I think it stimulates your creativity. I would be happy to take help from the your graphic guy, but sitting down, spending 2 3 days, and trying to develop it is a great stimulating exercise. That I would say.
Definitely. Yes,
So
Dr.
what do you think
Rakesh.
about these for non-trial papers? Single group studies, observational studies. My understanding is that my feeling is that it doesn't work well for those. It works beautifully for trials.
I think everything can be done to stimulate your left brain. So it's important to have a visual component which stays in your mind, attracts you, and especially for tweeting, social media, it's a very good way of getting
Keeping the
somebody
readers
attracted
engaged.
towards reading your article.
Thank you,
Thank you
ma'am.
so much. मैंने डॉक्टर एसी आनंद का साथ मांगा था, साथ छोड़ के चले गए कि यहाँ ठंड है। आइए। हाँ, मैंने कम करवा दिया।
So next is Dr. Rakesh Agarwal, and I hope you are ready now.
No problem.
How to write a structured abstract is a
No,
requirement.
not structured
Peer
abstract, peer
peer
review.
So structured peer review is a requirement today because most of the reviewers are not doing a proper job. Most of the editors are complaining otherwise. So we want to create a format, and we will request you to give us a guideline for that.
So here is a small Instagram reel. And that's all that is possible in 8 minutes. So I'll try and do something. First thing is you need to understand who are you reviewing for. We think we are reviewing it for the editor, but you are really reviewing for the authors and most importantly for the reader, for your field of science. And the whole purpose of doing this is to, we all think that we are trying to say yes or no or revision. But our purpose really is to assess the validity, quality, and often the originality. These are three criteria. Now, originality doesn't depends on journal. Journals such as PLOS and BMC journals don't want originality. They'll say, even if there are 100 studies, if there is a 101st study, we are willing to publish. But our purpose in doing this is to maintain the integrity of science, to find out what we publish that is valid and of good quality. And not only do we really need to say yes or no, more important actually is that whatever is published, there are ways that you can improve the quality. There are things that could have been left by oversight or things that could be improved. And that is also the reviewer's job. So, really speaking, when we look at a manuscript, before we start writing, there are 4 or 5 things that we need to look at. Is it new, which is also sometimes called as original? Is it true? Even if I go by whatever they did, in whatever group of people they did, for that group, is it true? And that is what is also known as internal validity. Then comes that may be true for their patients. Would it be true for patients or similar people elsewhere? That is it generalizable or external validity? Is it ethical? And finally, is it important? Does it matter? Sometimes those things don't matter at all. So when you do this, after you have read the paper and you have looked at those, now you really need to see how the journal wants a review to be. Do they have standard questions, which many journals have, or do they want a free form? I prefer a free form. There are times when journals have set questions, but I take them off and I say I'll rather give my opinion in text form. Do they want comments for editors separate from the authors? Do they want a signed review? Is your name going to be published? Uh, does the journal use statistical reviewers? So are you supposed to look at it deeply in statistics viewpoint? And finally, what journal am I reviewing for? The same paper may be acceptable for one journal, but may not be acceptable for another. And for what section of the journal is this article intended for? Is it a full paper? Is it a short report? Is it a letter? Is it a case report, etc.? So most journals want two separate comments for the editor. For the editor, you can be very direct, specific, cryptic, one sentence maybe at times. But you try to talk about strengths and weaknesses, you try to talk about implications, recommendation, and whether you would be willing to re-review if it comes back after revision, and whether you have any conflict of interest. Now, sometimes this part, you can just say that I have already mentioned this in the comments to authors, so you don't need to repeat it. For the authors, your comments have to be constructive, clear, thorough. The idea is, even if it is not publishable here, they should be able to use your comments to improve the paper and submit it to another journal. You give specific recommendations for improvement. And the way I like to write my recommendations, I start with one paragraph and sometimes even two, a brief summary of the study and its main findings. That helps me that I have understood the paper well, and it also helps the author be sure that you understand what they were trying to say. And that increases their faith in your assessment. They know that you didn't just write that's not good. Then you talk about strengths, about limitations, you talk about major issues related to internal and external validity. After that, you talk about minor comments, and sometimes you would provide them references, especially if you say that their methodology needs improvement. Then you provide references, and if you see there is lack of novelty, you provide some references to say why you say that these are already done. And let me take you through some examples. I'm sorry, I goofed up something. So now you'll have to do with some examples which are not as good. I had pulled out some, but couldn't do it again sitting here. But fault is obviously mine. So this is a paper that I got. This was a cost effectiveness analysis on DAAs from Iran. So I said, so first sentence, I have just said what the study relates to. I haven't given their conclusion. And that's because I said this has very limited novelty. Such analyses have been done for other low income countries, and the only new thing here was it was done for Iran. Now, why would it be important for Lancet Gastroenterology and Hepatology? It's only for Iran. And then I said, I've mentioned their strengths, that they did something which is appropriate, they did something which is appropriate, it is in keeping with the recent recommendations. But then I go on to limitations. This is their limitation. The limitation is that they have not compared it with, they've just compared 4 treatment strategies, not compared with no treatment. So maybe all 4 are similar, but none of them is better than no treatment. And finally, the 4 treatments differ only in survival period of 0.006 or 0.007 years. What does it mean clinically? That means extra survival of 2 days. It doesn't really mean anything. So that is one, right? The second one, I'll show you. So this is something, a paper which I got again from a major journal, where they had looked at the Rohingya population in Bangladesh, people who are displaced from Myanmar, and they had done HCV RNA. So I've now summarized that this reports a cross-sectional survey done at this time, and they found what proportion were anti-HCV positive, what were RNA positive, and this is what were the risk factors. So I have summarized. This is what I like to do in my first paragraph. Then I said a much higher than usual prevalence of HCV infection in this displaced population is fairly well known. And I said you provide references. So what I've done is I have quoted their own references in the manuscript. These are papers published in the 1 year or previously. So this report has limited novelty. Then I said a major limitation is selection bias. They said that from every household they took one person, whatever, whatever, but 2/3 of participants are women. Why? Where did the men go? This also raises concern whether there were other biases that they are not talking about. Now, instead of saying that they should have done this, they should have done this, you try to put it in a language how it could be better. So, what I said is it would be useful to know how they did this instead of saying they have not mentioned this. Some points which are minor, which seem like typos, you can say they are minor issues. So, I said as a minor aside, we find that they are saying 206 out of 2016, which is wrong. So, that is it. So, sometimes there could be major errors. So, they are saying confidence intervals are from 1 to 2.6, p value is 0.005. That's just not possible. And then what I wrote to the editor, I said this study, though of interest, is not sufficiently novel for a journal such as Lancet Gastroenterology and Hepatology. More importantly, there appears to be selection bias and methods are not sufficiently detailed. Either they are not sufficiently detailed or they are not sufficiently accurate. I mostly veered towards recommending rejection. However, I later thought that it may be worth giving the authors an opportunity to try and improve the manuscript, given that it originates from a limited resource setting and it applies to a disadvantaged and special population. These are people who are displaced from. If the methods are more detailed, I'm not saying that with that biases will go away. Limitations will be more evident and readers will be able to know that there are biases, but still they will be able to interpret it. So I'm saying that there could be sufficient negative things and you could still recommend a revision or possibly even an acceptance. A third one, so this was a paper that came, this was a study based on sequencing of surface and reverse transcriptase gene. The authors report that in 5 of the 11 persons, there is a recombination between C and D. And I said, there are problems in methodology, the way they have done sequencing. And it could be that the sequencing is of poor quality. I think they should do this. Or I would like to see the quality of sequencing data. The journal asked the authors to revise the paper, and when it came for revision, this time instead of writing my comments in the text box, I put it on a Word file and I uploaded it, and I took their own figures and showed that this is excellent sequencing, but this area, the sequencing is of such poor quality, and actually the software is automatically marking it, and this red line I have marked. So that is, it's automatically showing that sequencing in that area is poor. So really, what they are saying recombination is not recombination, but is of poor quality. So you can do that. There are times when unusual things happen. So I'll let you read this. So I accepted that I'll review this paper. It was something on medical education and something. And I thought that's fantastic paper. But once I opened it, it turned out that this was about the UK's medical education system, which I don't understand anything about. So what I've said is, I'm sorry, I'm goofed, but it was not my fault. Okay, to some extent. But still, I can tell you that there is something unusual. So maybe that's what the maximum help I can do. And finally, an apology and giving a reason. Another one. So this was a review on extrahepatic manifestations of hepatitis E. This was possibly from Journal of Hepatology, I think. So for a review, the most important thing that I look at whether the authors are experienced or not. So if an AI generated this thing, I wouldn't look at them. So I said the authors are experienced. Most of the things are okay, but language and organization need improvement. The manuscript can be made shorter, crisper. There are a lot of details. Pathogenesis appears at multiple places. They could put it all together. They say something which is not necessarily right when I look at it from I'll come back to you, from the developing country, this thing, they talk about extrahepatic manifestations, they talk, okay. So I talk about a lot of negative things, but the emphasis in saying how we can improve the manuscript rather than on saying that this is, because this is something on which review is needed, and these are people well qualified to do this. Ashish had some questions, so I'll take that.
How would you know if it was a blinded peer review that authors are experienced?
This blinded peer review is a purely Indian fixation. It's a purely Indian fixation. People have done randomized controlled trials and shown that blinded or unblinded review does not matter. I think in our country we have gone totally off. I can review, Ashish, you're very close to my heart, but I can review your paper. I would have reviewed some of your papers and given negative comments. That does not matter whether it is Ashish or Dr. Dhiman, who have much closer association with me, or it is something else. I can say it here. Professor Khuru is here.
Not only that, I think all randomized controlled
No,
trials
no, no.
are
I'll come.
registered.
I'll give you an example, sir. I moved to Lucknow in 1990, July 18. Possibly around July 30, SR Nayak, Dr. SR Nayak, hands me over a manuscript. Look at this. I go home. That was hard copy days. I open the envelope. It's a review article for Indian Journal of Gastroenterology written by Professor Khuru. And I went back to him next morning. I said, what do you want me to do with this? This is a review written by Professor Khuru. And you want me to look at this? And he said, there is nothing in this word that cannot be improved. Right? And I worked on it. And I went ahead and read a lot of cross references. And I did make some changes. But I must tell you, whatever I am today, I am because of that manuscript. So when an outbreak occurred, I knew everything about hepatitis C. So that's what it is. Knowing that it is from Dr. Khuru, what he taught me was, doesn't matter. He's the father of hepatitis. He's the one who's created that field, but you can still work on it. So objectivity still can stay. There is no reason why objectivity cannot stay. There are any number of times that I have openly criticized you in a presentation. So that's one. This is a peculiarly Indian. Most international journals don't blind the reviewer.
Thank you, Dr. Rakesh. And all of you will agree that you would like to send the paper to him before you send it to the editor. Because if it goes to him as a peer reviewer, it may get rejected. So it's better to have his comments beforehand. So, Dr. Kuru.
I think that was brilliant. What Rakesh does, and he did it so well. Not because he reviewed my paper, but
from that I have become what I have become.
So this is the first time you have put it out, but thank you very much. But a few things I wanted to put. When you are reviewing a paper, and this is what you are working on, and as a reviewer, and you are, how often would you put your references, what Rakesh put, he put the references of the author, but sometimes you have to put your own references. And then will the journal object to it that you are trying to put your own references and giving this is what is a very sensitive issue which probably needs. Second, Rakesh has to probably put it, there are so many areas who write about write article, like a meta-analysis, like a review article, and they have never seen that disease. Like somebody from Netherlands writes a review on hepatitis E, and what do you do to that? He has never seen hepatitis C. He doesn't know anything about hepatitis C. He just collects the material and puts up a review. So we'll have to also look at that, how Rakesh looks at that. Maybe 2 points.
So sir, second part is the easiest. When I get a review article to look at, the first thing I do is do a PubMed search by the author's names. And I have a kind of a fixed sentence, and I say a PubMed search on the names of first, second, and third author, and I'll put the search strategy in brackets. Did not reveal or revealed only 2 articles, and one of them was a case report on this disease. Hence, I do not think that these authors' review is going to be authoritative enough to be of use. And that is my fixed sentence. I hate reviews written by a resident who does a seminar and then writes a review article. So that is where it is. The first question you had was related to
You're adding your own
I would be extremely wary of suggesting a reference based on my paper. I wouldn't do it.
So you desist from that?
Absolutely. Even if it is there, I would just say that there are papers available in the literature. I would not. But if there are papers from somebody else, I would even provide. So I actually somehow I lost my slides. I had to do it again. But in one of them, actually, there was a PubMed ID given there that you say that this is the PubMed ID of somebody, but not my own paper. No. And if I am the editor and I find the reviewer has done this, I would remove that sentence from the review and think thrice before asking that reviewer to review for me again.
Yes, but we do in the Indian Journal of Gastroenterology request our reviewers to look at data which has been published in our own journal and cite that, because quite often they don't end up doing it.
That to me is dishonesty on the part of the journal. Ideally, journals are not expected to ask authors to cite papers in from their journal. That is a way of falsely, wrongly improving your impact factor, and it is not looked upon positively by uh, people who are in the profession.
Yes, Dr. Vishal.
So, it's pretty common for reviewers to suggest citations to their own papers. We cannot remove. It is very important that as an editor you cannot remove a comment by a reviewer. There are COPE guidelines what you can remove and what you cannot remove. So ideal situation is that the editor makes a comment that the acceptance of your manuscript is not contingent to citing any particular paper. It is your wisdom whether you want to cite that paper or not. In particular, editors should not suggest any citation. So that's what we follow.
Sorry, what did you say?
We cannot, yes, unless it is, so COPE suggests that unless it is a personal comment or a comment which is kind of not, yeah, so that you remove. Otherwise you should not touch it. You can add your own comment that okay, this citation, this suggested citation, it is up to you whether you want to put it or not. The acceptance is not contingent, so I cannot remove what a reviewer has suggested.
No, if a reviewer has suggested, yeah, if a reviewer suggested to the author that cite my 2-3 papers, I would not put it in the decision finally, because that is unethical of the reviewer, and I will never invite such a reviewer again. That is for sure. Whether it is ethical for us as editors to modulate the comments, well, we are anyway modulating language to some extent. Some of our peer review comments are very caustic, and they are not to the standards of the journal, or in fact to the standards of human decency. I have seen this very often. But I do not allow peer reviewers to suggest their own citations that please cite these 2 papers. No, we won't allow that.
Even if they're relevant to the manuscript in question.
No, you cannot. That is unethical, Dr. Rohit. It is unethical to suggest to the
I
reviewer
think we
because you're
can
blinded. You're behind a
drop the
screen
discussion
and you're
further
telling people
and
to.
carry it to the T. We have very little time left. So can I request Dr. Epan to come and talk about how to foster quality research in India?
Can the slides be put on, please? Yeah. Thank you. So let me bat on this topic. How to improve the quality of research in our country. So do we all think that the quality of research in our country will improve? So I believe all of us are optimists and we expect it will. So I was just trying to think that through when Dr. Usha asked me to tackle this topic. Just 2 weeks ago, India and US together has put in the latest, the most powerful satellite in the world. So research in space, surely India is top in the world. Now, how was it achieved? And considering all the investments put in the field, how does one measure success? So it's possible some think tank with appropriate authority has set a goal saying we will achieve world-class research.
and took steps for that. So I'm just trying to, it's partly philosophical first, and then I'll end with a few points to consider. So, how do we gauge success or impact of research in medical field? I guess in a line, it is to improve the health of the of the population at large. Now, such research should inform the public about the health, inform the healthcare team, and inform policymakers. Journals, and I must say that we are now very fortunate to have good vehicles for our country, now specialty, where the articles can be published, citations, access to reads, etc. are one, as well as how does this research influence guidelines of management of a particular disease, as well as influence healthcare policy decisions, allocation of funds, etc. These are all, in a way, I think, measures of success or the impact. So, to foster the quality of research, one is to have skilled personnel. I think as a society, INASL, ISG are putting in efforts to do that, providing resources towards this. Or is the problem of the quality of research a problem with the enabling environment? Where do we think the problem is, and problem areas are, and how can we improve it? So these are some suggestions. One is we could foster as society. I'm now talking about INASL, ISG, etc. Foster active collaborative research. We could take some more steps for that. These all need discussion. I'm just bringing in some ideas, which can be across institutions, specialities, even across countries. We could channel industry funding as a society for as INS, ISG, etc. for research endorsed by the societies. We could partner with communications media to inform advances in our field to general public, which will in turn inform the healthcare policymakers. These are things which can be taken forwards further. So now to specifics. I have been fortunate that when I spent 3 years on my study leave from Vellore, I spent a couple of years in UK. I got one award, which provided me money to survive and to do the research which I worked on, which I'm happy to note was always called the Sheila Sherlock Fellowship. So it looks nice on my CV. Everyone knows Sheila Sherlock. Okay. I tag along. Now I looked at it today. This has now been expanded in a big way. ESL has got multiple levels of this fellowship. It's like Welcome DBT has got junior, intermediate, senior, separate track for PhD, etc. So that time, I think I was probably the second recipient. There was only one in a year. Also, a non-UKite got the fellowship. So it's all interesting thoughts only. It's something which could be considered and it's eminently feasible. They say unrestricted grants from these are the pharmaceutical firms donating to it. Very much possible. Two, this I've enjoyed attending while I was in Australia, like the annual YCP, GYM, and EBG programs of ISG. Australia, targeting students or junior faculty, has 1 to 2 days of only research presented by experts in that field, and that's very stimulating. It's also bound to have an effect, and at least a few in the audience may take cue or identify a field which interests them. Thirdly, if you want to take it further still, maybe think about appointing an office bearer for research for the societies. All of these, again, are likely to bear some fruit over time. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Eapen, for wonderful ideas which you have given us. Do we have any quick questions?
Can I make it?
Yes, sir.
I just wanted to, there are several societies and institutions like.
Can you give me the mic, please?
There are several institutions who are promoting research for cancer drugs, for diabetes, for even maybe we can do it for fatty liver. What do you think about that? Should we promote that at the institution level because the funding is available? But then we have to also see what are its risks and dangers to the institution.
Ma'am, one question to Eapen on the same line. sometimes there's a tendency from the pharmaceuticals to actually allow grants for they call it research grants, and sponsor one candidate for an year of so and so. So what is the approach towards that? Should we promote a pharmaceutical, big ones who are willing to give a grant? Obviously they have their own reasons, so what should the approach?
I think those in the audience may be more competent than me to answer this question. So where does the money lie? It's either with government sources or in private. One big source is pharma,
It lies
or
in the banks.
or maybe charitable institutions, etc. So are there strings attached? There's no need to take funds which are strings attached. But the ESL is big money. It is there's some term for that, unrestricted, like that. So we have to go through the clauses. Surely the answer is no. We should not take on anything which has got strings attached. But surely ESL's model is a nice model. I think it's good. So money is there, but we have to think it through, go through the appropriate rules. It's possible to do it.
Thank you. I think for want of time, we'll have to move to the next talk. I would now like to invite Dr. Vishal Sharma to speak on how to increase journal citations.
So unfortunately, I don't have any good news. I don't have any shortcuts. But we are, of course, as editors, interested in higher citations, because whether we agree or disagree, whether we like impact factors or not, they are a measure of impact of the journal. They are a measure of the innovation and quality that is published in the journal. And obviously, it improves visibility, it increases the submissions, and hopefully improves the quality of submission. So everybody, whether it's the author, the journal itself, the editors, the institutions from the author's institutions or the publisher, everybody is interested in the impact factor. And then there are various measures. Obviously, I don't want to go into details of that. We are all aware of it. But obviously, GIF is the one which everybody looks up to, and we want a very high GIF for the Indian journals. Now, there are some practices which are frowned upon and probably unethical, and there are some which are more organic and better. But there are ways in which these things can be gamed or improved. So self citations are a problematic issue when journals ask authors to cite some of the papers. Now, the COPE guidance suggests that reviewers do sometimes ask authors for citations, and it is okay. But coercive citation manipulation, where the acceptance of a manuscript is made contingent to citing a particular paper, is problematic and frowned upon. The problem is that the current GIF calculation and all, they take into account where the citations are coming from. And if you look at the site where the citations are coming from in IJG and in JCH both, then somebody can actually suspect and see that most citations of IJG are coming from IJG, and the second is JCH, and vice versa. So which means that this will give a suggestion that there is a lot of self-citation which is happening, and there may be a cartel which is operating. Although there is no cartel, but it might look like that if you look at the citation, how the citations are happening. And then, of course, cross citations, when people, let's say two journals start collaborating and kind of suggesting citations of each other. So this is a cartel which has been created, and there have been instances when the indexing agencies have suppressed those journals for some time because of this kind of a cartelization. So obviously these are things which are frowned upon. Then there is a citation manipulation which happens where irrelevant papers are cited. For example, the author is writing about something, has written a paper about something, and will just mention that in one line. And this is very difficult sometimes to detect unless you have very good reviewers who are looking at also the citations and where the citations are coming from. There's also an issue of stealth citations, where citations are actually inserted without author's knowledge, and this has happened and been documented. So obviously these are manipulative practices and have to be avoided. So what are the suggested best practices for these issues? and this is from the COPE guidance. Some of this is from the COPE guidance. Editors should avoid suggesting citations. If any citations are suggested by reviewers, the editor should ensure that the citations are relevant to the paper, not make acceptance contingent to citations, provide a clear comment that citing suggested paper is at the discretion of the author. COP makes a distinction between suggesting and forcing citations. But the softwares which are employed by, let's say, JIF, Clavariate, they will never be able to make that distinction. So they will be able to pick what kind of citations that citations are being suggested. And obviously, it is important that the self citations remain low. So this is both for the journal and for the author. So sometimes you will have editorials being written, and we have some editorials in IJG where the author will have only citations by themselves. This is a particularly problematic issue, and this also needs to be handled. So I think I have talked about most of the questionable practices. One another practice which was in vogue was that you published an article ahead of print and then delayed the publication. You had a lot of articles ahead of print, and then you kind of waited for them to come in the issue. So you gave them a lot of lead time to garner a number of citations. Now this I think has been taken care of, and now the publication date is counted the day of online publication, which means that if you're publishing an article online today, as an editor, you should try to also get it in the issue as early as possible. And that is why it is better to have a thing which JCH has, like issues in progress, so that as soon as you kind of have an article online, it's already assigned to an issue, as against IJG, which has, I think, hundreds of articles lying ahead of print, and the issue is still lagging behind. But there are some practices which are acceptable and which we can use to improve the citations of our journals. One is to improve visibility. So we should use social media. We should have Twitter handles. We should encourage authors to share their papers through whatever social media they're using. This would be Twitter, LinkedIn, and even posting them on ResearchGate. Obviously, you can't post public copies there, but certainly you can post the articles there and provide private copies to whosoever asks for it. Then there are initiatives like ShareEdit, which Springer provides, and you can share a readable link with everybody. But unfortunately, only the authors can do that. So as editors or as journal managers, we can't share that link, but we can reshare those links if the authors have provided it. And of course, we should use these in our presentations, the articles which are published in our journals. And TOCs sometimes do help bring in attention to the articles which are published in a journal. But more important is so usually people are, you can get the people to the paper, but they are also looking for papers. So when they're looking for papers, they're usually looking at Google or PubMed or other databases through which they will search. So how do you increase the discoverability of the research? And herein is the role of titles, and we'll go into details of titles, important keywords, mesh headings, maybe relevant keywords, specific keywords, abstracts, which should contain the most important keywords. And then there is a concept of search engine optimization, which we don't use as frequently, but it is very important because of n number of papers which are available on a particular topic. How does the paper which your journal has published come up in the search? So the methodology is to use specific keywords rather than generic keywords. Use the keywords which you think somebody will use. For example, let's say there's a paper on acute pancreatitis, and if your abstract just keeps saying AP, that's not how it is going to be searched for. So better is to have the word acute pancreatitis in the abstract 4 or 5 times, so that the search engine is able to pick it up. Then title should try to cover conclusion, and I'll separately talk about the titles, and then use important keywords throughout the article. Now, there have been studies which have looked at how a particular title can improve the citations, and actually relatively short titles which describe the results may have more citations than very long titles or the titles which have a question mark, or one very peculiar thing about papers from India is that causes of low GI bleed in East India. So nobody is going to cite that. I mean, very few people are going to cite that because they are not interested in what's happening in East India for most of their papers. Then method describing titles are usually less cited. Now, obviously, there are certain article types which are cited more. And if you look at the citation indices, so if you look at JCH versus IJG and you look at the impact factor, IJG had an impact factor of 2 and JCH had around 3. Now, the major reason for that was that the IJG hardly published any reviews, and JCH publishes a large number of reviews. So the average number of citations which reviews in IJG got was 3, same for JCH, almost same for JCH, and original articles was 1, same for JCH and same for IJG. But because you were publishing more number of reviews and guidelines, which unfortunately IJG has very few guidelines, but JCH apparently has a larger number of guidelines. So obviously the impact factor changes. And systematic reviews, even if I can understand, we are all purists and methodologists and we want everything very right, but systematic reviews, even not so well done systematic reviews, are cited more often, and we should have a separate section. And IJG actually publishes 2 systematic reviews at least every issue. Special issues tend to garner more citations. And then there are other ways like editorials, news, and letters, which are excluded from the denominator, but they increase your number of citations, but they would be counted to self citations. So that is a thing which has to be balanced. Publication timelines I've already talked about. I think there's no need to mention, but issues in progress is a good way to kind of take care that. Then there are some additional tips that we should look at. Maybe reviews being authored by individuals who are prolific writers, because if they're writing on the same topic again and again, they're more likely to cite that one. But a very interesting phenomena which I've noted with the Indian authors is that they'll publish a review, a very good review in the Indian journal, but when they publish an original article on the same issue, they will somehow not forget to cite their own review. So that's a particular problem which we have kind of noted. We need to work with publishers to identify some hot topics, and this was a issue which happened during COVID. IJG lagged behind in publishing COVID research, and you could see impact factors going through the sky, but the IJG stayed there only. And the reason was that COVID research was either published very late or not published at all at that time. So you have to identify, let's say if POCUS is being talked about, then get something on that. If there's a topic which is of interest and being highly published, then get something on that, and probably you can kind of take a benefit out of it. Then one needs to look at the highly cited papers in the same field. Also, if you look at the number of papers published in IJG, almost 25% of the articles over the next 2 years are not cited at all. So sometimes we publish it because it's important for our country, but then we also need to look at whether it's whether we want to change that strategy. We don't want to publish those papers. Some of the rejected papers actually land up higher, and this is we have looked at IJG, and sometimes it's unfortunately peer review and even editorial decisions have their biases, and sometimes good articles are rejected, and it's always good to look at where the articles you reject land up and how they perform. Open access seems to improve the citations, and then multi-center papers with multiple authors seem to be cited more. Lastly, there's a nature index, which this was a machine learning model which they created between highly cited and low cited papers, and what they found was that a title between 7 to 13 words with common words in titles, 6 authors or more, a longer paper with lot of information in pictorial or tabular form was more likely to be cited. Of course, the primary aim of our journals is never to achieve a high impact factor, but to publish good work and target a clinical impact in real life practice. And I think this is the way probably impact factors will improve in the long term. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Vishal. I think we'll have to move on to the next speaker because of want of time. And Dr. Madhumita.
She's talking about how to collaborate between journals.
So I will not take much time because there's a lot already been said and done. So I have had the privilege of actually being associated with both the journals. My slides are getting loaded here. Just put this monitor screen. Yeah. So I've been the missing link that lies between the two journals. I've had the privilege to work with very great editors and I've learned a lot from them. But I just wanted to point out something that we should all realize. Currently, we are like Amar Akbar Anthony in India. When you look at it, there's a lot of unscientific way that you're going. There's a lot of duplication of work. We are trying to save Indian research, which is Nirupa Roy, and three brothers have joined up to give blood. And it's in our I think it's in our mind because we are that generation which has understood and worked in this way. We are working in silos and we have not really had the kind of impact or growth that maybe European countries have had. They are much smaller than us, they are tiny states, and they have yet formed a consortium and they managed to make a huge coalition which is very difficult for people like us in the eastern world to break from the global south, and we have to break it. So how can we cooperate and actually work together to foster good quality Indian research, right? So the common thing that I have faced as an editor working the two journals is a lot of overlapping content. So we have an ALF special issue in JCH. After a few months we have an ALF special issue in IJG. So we need as editorial boards to actually collaborate and decide the path that we are going to take, because our ships need to be sailing in the same direction, otherwise we are dragging citations here and there. We have to maintain that each journal is unique. We are both catering to similar audiences. Our editorial boards are overlapping, our authorship is overlapping, which is what is giving us a false impression of a cartel. But it's the way we are sister journals effectively. The editors are common to both. We have a very high editorial workload. Sometimes the same article passes through JCH, is rejected from there, comes to IJG, and we often find that there's been no change. We've had extensive review comments that have been given from one journal. The article has been sent to the next one without any revision or any modification. So the peer review comments that we give very painstakingly are completely ignored by the authors. We are all editors. There's a huge editorial board. We have access to our own departments which are publishing research. It is high time we try and force our authors to change their behaviors and actually edit and change the manuscript. So maybe if there's communication between the journals, at least to certain papers, because there are some red flag things. For example, we have pointed out today there's AI generated writing, there's self plagiarism, there's multiple site submission. We have had articles which have been submitted simultaneously to both journals as well. So I don't need to name them, this has happened before. So we need to have some kind of a communication, I would say, when we are publishing research. And actually the best way to do it, when we are talking about guidelines, maybe we can publish it in both. So it will be ADA IDSA guidelines, and both the flagship journals publish it. So there might be things which are common to both societies. Acute liver failure, for instance, if there were guidelines for it, it could be published in both the journals, and that could also boost citations that way. Cross referencing practices, this is not a question of just referencing. For example, if I were writing article which is to be read by Indian readership, and I'm using only data from Australia, and I'm trying to publish in an Indian journal. I mean, honestly, you need to rethink. And then to say that, this is a global journal now, it is fine. It is a global journal. But you have to cater to your readership and provide them research and data which is relevant to the place you live in, the place you are going to apply that comment or research. So, this is really important for us to rethink the way we are actually referencing each other. Like I said, EU is a strong coalition. We need to build that within India, and it is entirely possible to see it within the next 10 years. Then there is competitive publishing. Sometimes we have the same authors being invited for similar editorials in both the journals. I've seen that very often with the hepatology related things. So we need to have a common discussion, and these kind of common meetings will actually determine. So we need to be like Forrest Gump. We need to work together and move. And it has to be a symbiotic relationship. I'm not saying one is a buffalo and one is the egret. I think we are all buffaloes in some situation and egrets in the other, depending on the topic, because we have our own unique flavors, these two journals. But we need to have some common ground. We need to have shared resources because we have shared editorial boards. But maybe we can use, for example, this graphical abstract and all. Maybe we can have shared resources. Maybe we have a lot of society guidelines coming out of one journal. Maybe those can also be shared so that it is published together. There's a huge advantage of IJG which JCH does not have, and why this issues in progress was actually created is because IJG is Medline index. The moment it is online, it is already on PubMed and searchable. Whereas in JCH, we used to have a time lag of sometimes 2 to 3 years before it was visible on PubMed. It was visible on Science Direct and on the JCH website, but not on PubMed. So we already are at an advantage, yet we could not boost our impact factor as much due to various other reasons. We need coordinated referencing. We are not coercing citations here, but these kind of mentorship programs where our junior editors are actually told what is happening behind the curtains and the problems we face will probably help us in the long run. So research integrity has been covered. So if we have flagged an article for research integrity, maybe there should be a way to communicate it to the next journal, or at least editors should be able to flag these, or submission flags can be added. We may also have transfers between the two journals. For example, a topic may not be so relevant to JCH, might be more relevant, say it's on IBD. It may be more relevant to the readership of IJG. So we can have sister journals transferring articles between the two. We need a companion open access journal. If one society cannot pay for it, maybe. And that's the reason why I brought up the topic about MD research. It is very hard to try and tell students that research is great and research is important, and then we reject their papers because they are underpowered, sample size is not adequate, or for one of the various issues that we have discussed today. So we need to have some kind of way of ensuring that they are interested in research, because once they get that endorphin kick of becoming a published author, they might become better authors later. Rather, if we reject, I am not in favor of publishing MD thesis, sir. I agree with you. But we need to help them understand that this is just a stepping stone. And an editorial fellowship is what? We can cover our ears and say, hear no evil, but the evil is going to happen if we do not support our students. So we have to support our students in a way that is palatable for us as a journal, but it also needs to be holding up our own standards. And we need to have conflict of interest policy, so editors from one journal to the other, the way there is a kind of cartel in the way acceptances go. There is definitely a bias, let's acknowledge it. So certain authors get some preferences, but maybe we need to declare our conflicts of interest very clearly. For example, authors of one department should not be peer reviewing from the same department of one institute. IGG has done this. We are having an editorial board which is person from one institute. We will not see the articles from that institute. We are giving it to a different institute itself. So PGI articles will be held, either they'll go to TMC where Dr. Sridhar Sundaram is, or it will go to Dr. Apin for so CMC Vellore. And we are doing this generally so papers from the north are reviewed by the south, so we don't have this kind of cartel thing. So that needs to be there all across. So cross citations are a way of boosting impact factor, but they need to be done in a very healthy way which will improve our citation metrics all around. I think the first thing to do is actually have instill a feeling of pride in our journals. I'm proud of being part of Indian Journal of Gastroenterology, for instance. We should now start taking pride in Indian research, but the only way to do that is to have research integrity, and we need to have very strong ethical standards, and we need to lead the way. So all of us, we cannot become the light bulb journal, but two journals working together, we can fix our light bulb and make it light up. And we need to protect each other's journals. We are a coalition and not in competition. That's really important. So we should cooperate more, and we should not be duplicitous in our behavior towards each other. The only way we can reach IF20 is if IJG offers a belay to JCH and JCH does the same for the other journal, and we can actually reach IF20 within no time. We are much bigger than EU. Let's defeat them. Thank you.
Any pressing comments before I invite?
I think what Madhumita is saying has some things which are okay, but I don't think many things are okay. I can sit and talk to her separately. I suppose. 4 hours. No, Madhumita, let's be frank. separate journals. I'll go back to history. I'm not no, no, see, this is the problem. Now everybody will say, let's not go back, let's go come back. I don't think we did it for this. Do you think both journals are publishing high quality science? They are not. Most of what we are publishing, I'm associated with both journals. Okay. I may not be an editor for, I'm an associate editor for GCH. I have been editor for IJG. But the fact remains that most of what we are publishing is trash. Let's be very clear. We are increasing the number of papers published. Our people are, so this is all over. Somehow the feeling that is given is in conferences you give more and more prizes. Everybody has it to show that I have a best paper prize, which is for a terrible paper, which is not worth the paper on which the abstract is written, and the same thing is happening in journal. With that, we are wanting to reach an impact factor of 20. Sorry, the only I didn't say when Vishal spoke something. The only way to improve impact factor is that each of your papers should be so good that it derives the X number of citations. If we continue to publish the way we are, we are never going to reach there. I'm sorry if I sound this thing, but I suppose many people in the hall know that I've always been that blunt. Because if we are not blunt, so this is a 21st century thing. Keep praising everybody's back.
I think we are running short of time. Running short of time, and no. I think what he has told is that the quality of research is poor, and that is where we need to improve rather than anything else.
We have decided that
with the new journal. Actually, I totally disagree. I think there is no time
We can have a discussion later, and let. Can I request Dr. Usha to speak on the way forward?
Thank you so much. It was a wonderful discussion we have had. Let me quickly go the way forward. This recent publication really disturbed us, and we knew this all the way that India has a high output, low impact kind of a publication. This is a serious concern, and that is why we need to see how to take things ahead. Our goal is to improve the quality of science in the country, promote relevant research, and improve our journal standing. What I realized when I was in Australia and Canada is that these skills which are required for publishing are imparted at the level of the school. Research methods, reporting methods, even when they do a chemistry experiment, which we all did in our school, and everybody virtually wrote the same thing. There, each child has to independently write their findings and give interpretation. So they teach very early in the way that you have to do these things independently. But they also teach team building skills. So when there is collaborative work, they teach how to work through a team and how to interact as a team. And integrity, which Dr. Dhiman highlighted about ethics and integrity, this is something which is again lacking very often when we see these articles which come up to us, that you can see through certain aspects of it. So this integrity is something which has to be really kept high, and we have to move on to collaborative work. And so in India, most of us have learnt it on the job. Very few have had structured training in these areas. So integrity should be inculcated at the level of school and at home, and penalized severely if violated. The weeds should be removed very early rather than let them grow into big shrubs. So the role of research in the West, in India, which I have seen, is patient, data, apply science, research, and a paper, and it gets into the CV. Whereas in the West, I found that the patient centric problems are sorted out by doing research, and the answer has to be applied back to the patient. So there is some component of giving it back to the society, giving it back to the patient. So quite often many researchers I have seen, it hasn't translated into daily action. If we have devised a score, if we have done a new test, it hasn't become part of routine practice. I had to put my foot down when we did initial studies on calprotectin. This was about 10-15 years back. That it will become a part of clinical care, and to ensure that it is established as a part of routine clinical care is important. So if we find something good, it should get established for our patients who have contributed to the research. So as I said, it gets into the CV in India versus it should actually be a solution for a problem. And there is in India, for some reason, because we have been coming through a very competitive kind of an environment, competitive examinations, but once we have become faculty, there's no competition, it is collaboration. But still that thing has got so ingrained into us in the first 20-25 years of our life that we can not stop competing. And if we continue to compete, we are going to be on top of little hillocks, which is not going to help any one of us. And that is why we are not able to make large high impact publications in our country, because we are not collaborating. Most of the studies which are coming in NEJM or Lancet or anywhere is all multicentric studies, and India has such a huge population, we can easily collaborate and have multicentric studies. So this is an African proverb: if you want to go fast, go alone, and if you want to go far, go together. And everybody seems to be in great hurry in India for somehow reaching somewhere, I don't know where. So efficiency is important, and quite often I realize when I took over as the editor-in-chief for the Indian Journal, instead of working solo, I thought it's very important to have a team, because each team member gives a different, unique perspective to the whole journal. And I have learned by interacting with my team members, and this is very important. And that's why we have a large team which works very closely together. And we have a lot of managing editors also. Nikita is here, and Marian has been with us. And handling with publishers has been a lot of problem, but again it is now a team handling one publisher rather than one person handling the publisher. So resources, lot of resources are not accessible to our students. We talk about graphical abstracts, how many people have access to these kind of programs? We don't have. How many of our students can access a statistician to analyze? So they just go across the road and give some 1,000 rupees and get some statistical analysis done. So in the West, there is a culture and there is a system already in place, and they are 100, 200 years ahead of us. They have created a system. They've gone through our stages and now created a system. We still have to create a system. So we have to create our own resources. So that's why we decided to have a graphical library. We made one. We have human resources have to be trained, so we are planning to have editorial fellowships. I'll come to that a little later. Indian publishers, we have to come together for an open access journal to publish that kind of research which is not quality, but yet our students will get something out of it. We have to provide them several open access, open resources for them to do their work. So this is another problem in India. Quite often somebody will ring you up and say, my paper has got rejected from your journal, this was good, that was not good. So there is this influence which happens, and this is a big problem, because you don't want to mix personal and professional lives. And a little bit of mix and bonhomie is fine, but there is a line between personal and professional lives, and that has to be maintained. And unfortunately, we do not know how to do that well. So another thing is that we always are trying to impress the West. I don't know why. Europe or America or Britain, why are we trying to impress them? We have our own science, we have our own problems, we have our own solutions which we can find. Eternally, we are, still colonized in our mind. So we have to first decolonize ourselves. I'm not saying good science is happening there. Definitely, if your work gets appreciated by them, it is important. But we shouldn't work for only that appreciation. In fact, I found that some people were working on HIV because the West is interested in HIV, and not working on tuberculosis because the West was not interested. US was not funding ICMR on TB till HIV and TB became a big problem there. So they are interested in funding for their problems, and we are still trying to cater to them. And I think a lot of our problems can be solved with our own research, and there's a lot of implementation opportunities, lots of guidelines, lots of things which have to be validated. We can start with them and implement in large population. So if we start looking towards the other countries which are lower income countries. We can become leaders for them. We can suggest cost effective treatment, so we can become leaders for many of the less organized countries, and they will follow us rather than we following the leaders. And there are several sources of funding. We have to start looking for them. There are philanthropists, institutions, international resources, crowdfunding. Pharmaceutical funding is a problem. It can only get routed through societies. And we also made these graphical abstracts, all these graphical things with our graphic designer. So all this is going to be put on the website in the next couple of days. And Indian map keeps getting distorted, so that's why we wanted the Indian map to be properly represented. So the simple do's are simple large studies is what we need from our country. Biobanking should be there at all setups. Web based data networking should be there, and database of equipment and expertise. Like I had to make some microfiber thing or 1 micron, I had to send it to Germany, and then I find that IIT Kanpur has a machine for that. So it becomes very difficult. We should know what are the resources available in our country in terms of equipments, and create protected time for our faculty when they have to engage in research. All research is actually done after 6 o'clock in the evening. It can't be done during the day. So we have to create a network amongst all of us. And alumni networks is one area where we can start with. We can collaborate with them, support them, and also have web based data registries. We can create large big data from our country, and we can have focused trainings on several issues which Dr. Dhiman brought up: plagiarism, ethical issues, authorship issues, responsible use of AI, publication ethics, evaluating images and videos. When they come, you don't know how to evaluate. You don't know is it AI generated or it's not AI generated. Using reporting guidelines, conflict of interest, and bibliography. So we have always learned on our jobs. We have learned from our seniors. We have been very graceful and gracious to teach us books and by making mistakes. So what we thought at IJG, that we will introduce an early career gastroenterology hepatologist fellowship for early career gastroenterologists and hepatologists, and do a structured 1 day on-site training program on 31st of October. It's scheduled, and a hands-on training under a mentor which will go on for 1 year, so that they review about minimum one paper a month under an editor and learn how to critique a paper in the way Dr. Rakesh Agarwal was telling us, how to actually do a good peer review. And this online interning will end, and at the end of 1 year, we plan to give them an editorial fellowship. I know Dr. Rakesh has his own views about this. We have had a discussion about it, but I think we have to start somewhere. We have to start by actively training and capacity building in our country, because without that, we will not be able to encourage our youngsters, and we have to create the generation next. Thank you.
Thank you, Usha, for telling us the way forward. Now we have a 40-minute session of brainstorming, but we are already about 20 minutes over time. So we will have few important questions if somebody wants to raise. We can have a discussion, quick discussion, and we'll try to close early.
Advantage of some time, because we allowed some discussion after each one's talk. So I think the first step is, this is the first time historically that two journals of our country have come together. And thanks to Dr. Anand being gracious enough to say that we should have something like this. So this was an idea which came in our mind some time back. And for the first time, we are think tanks are coming together, because we are very limited number of people who are trained in this area or who are working in this component of publishing, editing, and manuscript writing. So I think it's a first good step, and we could think of how to convert it into a kind of a paper or a manuscript
Dr.
or whatever.
Kuru wants to say something.
I think we need to congratulate both of you to really come together. This is an occasion which needs to be
Thank you.
celebrated.
The credit should go entirely to Usha, because she's the one who's been spearheading the whole thing.
Both of you, certainly.
Both, sir.
But Rakesh put a very important point, whether we need two journals, then whether we need two societies. I think that point will be continued discussion, but there's no doubt that collaborating at the level of societies as well as the developed journals is definitely a welcome step, and it will certainly help science. There's no doubt.
Thank you, sir.
So as a
I will, Dr. Akish.
as
No,
a
no,
starting point, we would like to share our
Do you think if we really want to improve the journals, my ideas will be crazy, but here, listen. Firstly, I think we need to reduce the number of papers that we publish. We have just too many papers. Second, I'm not very sure that most of the associate editors are reading the paper in detail before sending it to reviewers. I get papers as associate editor, I get papers as peer reviewer. And I find that many of those papers that come to me as peer reviewer were not worth sending to a peer reviewer. I don't know, Dr. Anand will bear me out. About 80% of papers that I get as uh, associate editors don't go out to uh, because they have such obvious flaws that I know that even if peer reviewers were to say this is good, I wouldn't publish them. The associate editor has to read the paper, and if you are not convinced, there is no point sending it to an external reviewer. You may say that I am not an expert on this. It's always possible to go and read a little bit. I've reviewed papers on, Mendelian randomization or whatever, because I said if there is a paper, I'll go and read about it. This is an opportunity for me to read. So you need to reduce that, only then it will happen. The third thing is, after the associate editor says yes, I think the editor in chief will have to crack the whip. I can tell you any number of examples. So, if you don't mind my saying this here, we have a paper on neonatal hyperbilirubinemia in JCEH. What does it have to do with clinical and experimental hepatology? In neonates, the only thing was hyperbilirubinemia, but that's a different disease in neonates, right? What are we talking about? So on. I can give you any number of examples. The paper, a whole lot of papers, you look at them, and if we continue to publish such papers, then the journal level cannot go up. This is what I feel. uh, we can agree to disagree, but most good journals start by ensuring that only good quality papers are published. And I don't know whether IGG has given up. My suggestion specifically to IGG, I've annoyed him, now I'll annoy you, not to publish that this month in IJG. If you have stopped it, then it is fine, because it is, to me, if I was sitting in impact factor division, this was clearly a way to, uh, you know,
this was the
yeah.
first
So
first
no,
thing
I
we
wrote
stopped.
one. I wrote one. I was very upset writing one also. And Usha, kind of, I've known her for 40 years now. So I can't say no to her when she asked me to do something, but
we
it was
had,
not right to do that
we
speech.
have stopped that because
some
it
of
was
the
continued earlier on. We had to bring it to a decent end.
some of the junior editors may not speak because many senior people are sitting here. So I'll ask them one by one. Akash, would you like to say anything?
The learning experience actually to hear so many things. Everything is fine, but I think one dichotomy that is going to creep up is that on one hand we say that we would only be publishing, we should be looking at publishing high quality research. The other dichotomy is that when the author knows that this research is of a very high quality, I cannot stop the author to put it at LGH or JM. So unless our impact factor rises to an extent, a very high quality paper will not actually come. That's my personal opinion.
Okay. Any point from your side?
No, sir. I think it was so like I've just joined as
Dr. Preetham? Suprabhat?
So I agree with sir. Only thing is that we need to increase our rejection rates, because we are being actually lenient. Many a times we uh, uh, something which needs to be rejected, we accept that with maybe with revision, but I think we need to work on that to be more aggressive in increasing the rejection.
I think we need a sister journal open access
Rohit?
to.
Professor Singh, I have not asked you because you are a very senior person and you will not stop by anybody asking you to stop.
No, but
Who's behind Dr. behind Dr. Agarwal? Surinder, anything?
Yes, sir. I would like to say that actually, sir, we should continue publishing a large number of articles, because otherwise, how will we get opportunity to show our research which is done in our country? Because it may not be relevant for Western population, so they will not publish it. So then we should have an Indian platform where we can publish. So that's my opinion.
yes, Dr. Devan.
I, Dr. Dhiman can speak anytime.
No. I just want to say anything. One thing. We want that we should be publishing good articles, good research in our own journal. And we have so many people over here, they are doing the very good research also. When it comes to send the paper, they will send it to the other journals, hepatology, gastroenterology, and the lower ranking journal to the Indian journals also. I think this kind of the bias, I think, should end something. That we should be sending our own research paper, good quality papers in our own journal. We should have faith in our journal that we are publishing over here.
I totally agree, sir. In fact, I go on requesting everybody send one good article from your side to the journal every year. With them, just one for one of these lead publishers, they should send one.
Manas?
That can only change by improving our own impact factor. Then they'll be forced to submit to us. There's no other way.
Which comes first,
We have
chicken
to.
or egg?
नहीं वो नहीं होगा वो जो नहीं भेजते हैं वो नहीं
आप
भेजेंगे
जर्नल को पहले अच्छा करिए तब हम भेजेंगे।
नहीं
आप भेजेंगे नहीं जर्नल अच्छा कैसे हो जाएगा?
वो बोलना आसान है लेकिन वो जो लोग नहीं भेजते हैं वो नहीं भेजेंगे
Just 2 minutes.
Manas, anything you like to say?
Yes.
So I will fully agree with Akash. So at the same time, we want to increase the standard of our journal or impact factor. It is okay. At the same time, we have to see the research should come from India, good research from. I have examples when we are sending to our journals, it is rejecting. When sending that research, same research to other journal, international journal, let's say American Journal of Gastroenterology or JHAP or something, they have accepted it. So let's say as a editor or reviewer, you have to see something good research from India, try to increase it readability or give some positive comments or suggestion to, and don't outright reject it something. That is my take on. I will fully agree with Akash.
Thank you, Dr. It's just 1 second, Akash. There are a couple of people online who want to make a comment. Yes, Dr. Sudhini?
Hi, thank you. Now, just echoing what was just said now, because personally, I had two articles that was rejected by JCH and later accepted by higher impact factor journals. So I think everybody agrees that rejecting journals, rejecting articles is a sign of impact factor. But then at the same time, it's the easiest thing to do is reject an article. It doesn't take any effort at all. So what we should try to do is, review the article properly, try to get it corrected, and give the changes that will probably make it better, and try to get those articles published from our own country. I think that is very, very important, because now there is a little bit of hesitancy in sending to JCH, because okay, they're going to be rejected. So I think we should definitely get that all over with. So that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Quite often it is not a black box that it comes into any of the journal dashboard and it's rejected. It has to align with several things. So it is not. I agree with you that Indian articles should be improved upon and brought into the Indian journals per se. But sometimes there are reasons beyond the fact that it didn't meet the eye. Yes.
Anything you like to say?
I just wanted to add in graphical abstract. I can help in making the graphics because
Okay.
I have made many figures and
Thank you.
international books and
Thank you.
Very good.
Ashish, you've not said anything? Okay. And among the people online, Professor Kocher, would you like to say anything?
J- I don't think.
He's there.
Dr. Jena? Yes.
Dr. Anand, yes, I'm here. I've been uh, partly, most of the time, actually listening to the deliberations. But I think the whole purpose of this meeting was to deliberate and see if we can move forward. But I don't think we have got any concrete suggestions to move forward. The basic thing remains that we do not have collaborative research. We have 20 odd aims, PGI, SCPGI, other institutions, CMC, and so many of them. But we don't see collaborative research, as has been pointed out earlier, that smaller European countries like the Dutch pancreatitis group has overpowered pancreatitis research all over the world with their much smaller numbers, but so well conducted studies. So we need something at that level, something. I do not know who is going to do that and whose responsibility would it be. And second, that we say that we are unable to tap our MD or DM thesis. Again, something should be done at that level, that there should be minimum standards of MD thesis as well as DM. There are about 400 odd DM and DMP students every year, entering every year. So that is one set of students who are at least available for 1.5 years, and something needs to be done at both these levels to generate better output. I think we need better output from our country. With this, we need to go beyond this meeting and think of ideas how to improve that.
Thank you, sir. One thing you asked was whether we have gained anything by this meeting. I think uh, the biggest gain has been that we have got together. I think that is a major achievement. And the second thing you mentioned was about MD thesis. I don't think we are dealing with the first dosa, we are dealing with the second dosa, because after MD, people are doing DM with us. So probably we can be a little more strict there. And the quality of research, I think the younger generation you have to trust in. They are collaborating between themselves. They are doing good work, networking between their peer group. And I'm quite happy with what is being done in many of the centers. Anurag, you wanted to say something?
Yes, sir. So I heard from the INASL meet before lunch that a science editor can reject the manuscript as well. So is that true for IJG also? Can we reject at the level of science editing after pre-revision?
Yes, you can
Yeah,
reject.
You can see, ultimately whatever comes in has to be of good quality.
You're supposed to be the judge of the quality of the research and quality of paper. Who's MM? I can't make out.
Yes, anybody else would like to say something?
Ashish, would you like to say?
Thanks, sir. Just a small point. The IJG and JCH gives a great platform to Indian gastroenterologists to publish. So if we are forced to reject, which is a reality to keep the impact factor high, we should have sister journals where we can direct them, and we may look for journals where we can refer, in case we are forced to reject them.
Okay. Harshad, I see your name here. Are you there? Would you like to say anything? Harshad? Okay.
Okay.
Would you like to say last few words?
Yeah, I think it's a great initiative. I think this is a starting point. We have to move together forward. I think where we need to really work is capacity building at every level. whether you're an editor, whether you are a resident, whether you are a junior faculty, I think it's very important to, in a structured way, improve capacity in the country so that people are on the same platform, people understand the same language, and I think some degree of understanding of research methodology, publications, how to use how to do a manuscript writing, how to do a peer review properly. These are all essential skills if we want to practice academic medicine and put India on the global map in terms of academic medicine. Yep. With this, I think I really thank all of you for being with us here. Thank you so much. And we'll have a photograph here. We have just organized somebody to be here to take a photograph for all of us.
These photographs.
एक सेल्फी हो जाए और ये सब you missed me many times, but not today.